It's invisible stuff. It's like none of this is shown in a highlight reel of Yone, right? None of it. This is how you actually get good at Yone. This is how you get results. This is what takes people who go from playing Yone for 50 games and dropping him because he's too hard to actually getting long-term success and winning games.
I'm Nathan Mott from We Teach League, and I've been coaching League of Legends for more than 5 years. Today, I sit down with AJ, regarded as one of the best Yone players in all of North America. We go through exactly what to think about during your lane phase, how to make decisions as Yone, and how to transition your lane phase to actually killing the Nexus. If you've ever wanted to learn Yone, this is a video you do not want to miss. AJ, let's start off with your build on Yone, talking about sort of what stats, you're building, how does that sort of align with your champion identity. I like to start with sort of go, like literally choosing a game from your match history here, AJ, and talking about what you think is sort of the cookie cutter build. I know you have 2 accounts right now, so this is your main account, right?
That's my main, that's my tryhard one, yep.
Yeah, but you don't have many games. You're like spamming games on this one here. So maybe a game from this account?
Yeah, you could take the 13-3 and 14-1. That's probably a good one.
This is a classic build. All right,
this is a very classic build.
So let's start off, I guess, with runes first.
Yep.
So lethal tempo, is that, you're running that every game, right?
Yep. And pretty much, people have a lot of questions between fleet versus lethal tempo. Lethal tempo is a lot better at your Bork spike. So if you really want to play for that Bork spike and you would be as strong as you can for Bork, you go lethal tempo. Now, obviously, that's a lot more greedy as well as a setup. So fleet can be good if you're either learning Yone or in your matchup that's really, really tough, or like it's easy to die if you're low, right? Like if you're against the BotRK side, you need to be healthy. Fleet is great. But yeah, typically I basically almost only go lethal tempo exclusively now at the point for my Yone. Sometimes I go fleet. And also there are a few specific matches where you go grasp. So I think you can look at that grasp game there.
This one, yeah.
Yep. So in terms of the runes for this one, you want to go grasp, and there's only a few matchups. It's ones where you can't auto attack a lot in lane. So Akali is a perfect example of grasp because Akali is very hard to use your lethal tempo. So you want that grasp, that fly HP gives you that durability. But yeah, besides that, basically just lethal tempo.
So yeah, looking at this here, AJ, you're literally, you went fleet probably one in what?
Yep.
Like 30, 40 games, so you're really never going fleet. It looks like you're going grasp a bit more. So the grasp is here. I think your recent game was also grasp, right? So this one here, what are we against here? Is this an Akali?
I thought I was against Akali, but it was Asol.
I see.
I would have went lethal tempo if I knew I was against Asol. But yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about sort of is this copy paste, or do you basically change any? What do you change here? Basically, what's adaptable?
Mostly copy paste. I would say the things that are most adaptable is Triumph versus Absorb Life. So Absorb Life is obviously a lot better for laning phase. So if you're in a matchup where you need that strength from for lane, you go Absorb Life. Otherwise, Triumph was good, but I would say 90% of the time I go Absorb Life. And Overgrowth, that's the other interchangeable one. You can actually replace that with Shield Bash if you want. And those are for matchups where that's the top right one. Those are for the ones where you really want a lot of heavy trading in lane. So like if I'm against like a Silas, I really like Shield Bash because you go pop the W, Q, your Q actually applies Shield Bash. So it's a lot better in lane because Overgrowth is a scaling rune. So yeah, but besides that, Second Wind you always take, Alacrity obviously always take, Last Stand you always take, Attack Speed you always take, Flat AD you always take, and scaling health versus flat HP, same thing. Flat HP in a matchup you really need it. Like against Raz, I love flat HP. Victor, I love flat HP. But other than that, you would probably want to go scaling HP.
Okay, so talking now through your items. So Doran's Shield versus Doran's Blade.
Yes.
Are we interchanging that, or is it literally Doran's Shield every single game?
So it's again somewhat interchangeable, but I would say D Blade is like 5% of matchups you want to go D Blade. Basically it's almost always D Shield. The only time you want to go D Blade is again if you're in a matchup that's very easy. Like I think I played a game against Seraphine mid. That's like a matchup, like a weird matchup. You go D Blade. If you're against like Asol, D Blade could be okay as well. Like, but besides that, you're basically always going D Shield.
And obviously this has sort of been well known for a long time. Is it just as simple as just Berserker Grease rush every game? Like, what's the go here?
Yeah,
we got Cull in here as well. This is interesting.
Yeah, so the way I like to view Yone itemization is I always try to spend just the most amount of gold as possible. unlike mages, where like for example, Syndra, you really want that last chapter base, right? Like it's really important. As Yone, especially after the boots nerfs, like it started season 15, I think, you don't need berserkers as your first item. Like it's great, it is a good spike, but like sometimes just basing getting 3 daggers is good. Sometimes basing and getting coal against these heavy sustained matchups is great. Sometimes basing and going pickaxe is great. Like I think I had a game where I based for pickaxe because I can't trade a lot in lane, so I based for pickaxe. I think it was like Asol. I think I got a pickaxe instead of recurve or like that game I advanced up there. So it's like it really just it's really based off of the type of matchup you're in. Like if I'm in a matchup where I'm going to be taking a lot of extended trades, yes, I want more attack speed. If I'm in a matchup where I'm getting poked, I want the lifesteal from Cole and Vamp Scepter, right? If I'm in a matchup like I call it where I can't auto that much, but I still want to trade, pickaxe, right? So like that's kind of the interchangeability there. It's really just however much gold I have, as well as the matchup I'm in. It's a combination of the two.
Okay, so it sounds like so sort of your components basically saying to
Yeah.
build Blade of the Ruined King will
Yes.
change based on some matchups of what you're
Yes.
trying to achieve. Okay.
That's right.
Okay, so Blade of the Ruined King, and it just looks like, is it just flat shield bow second every single game?
Yes. So first 2 items, like back in the day on Yone, you could build a lot more different items after Bork. Like you could go like bruiser, tank if you want. But they changed Yone to have more crit scaling. So you basically almost always want shield bow at the very least as your second item, no matter what. Like it's very hard to argue not having shield bow as your second item. Um, yeah.
So there's no cook-in with Yone builds at
N-
the moment. It's like
Unfortunately, there's not.
everyone,
No.
it's
You,
just Blade,
the first 2
shield bow.
items you cannot cook. Some you can go Yuntal, and some other high-elo Yones have won Yuntal. Personally, I think that item is really bad on Yone because he already scales really well, and the problem with Yuntal is that it takes a really long time to go online because Yuntal gives no lifesteal, so your laning is weaker. But also with Yuntal, you need to stack up the crit chance. So what happens is that even once you build it, you don't get that instant spike like you do with Bork. So I think personally, for like most Yone players, you should only go Bork, in my opinion, as your first item. There is no flexibility there. And shield bow is your second item as well. I think there's no flexibility with that. Third item, you
This doesn't look
most
like much flexibility. You looks like you're an
yeah.
IE every game here.
I think I have a game where I played a competitive game where I went Shojin third, which is like that'd be the only other item I would ever consider besides IE third is Shojin. You might not be able to find it though, but yeah, like that's like a 1 in like 100 games I would go Shojin. Where like for whatever reason you need the durability really bad, like you need more durability. Then like sometimes I'll go some kind of durability item third, but yeah, more often than not it's probably IE third.
Okay, so talking now about fourth, fifth items, sort
Yeah.
of close out your build. I mean, there's not many games that go that long, I guess,
Yes.
AJ, in the reality of solo queue.
That's right.
You looks like some things here. We've got Strybreaker here. We've got a Jack Show there.
Yep.
What do we do for? Is it that important, the
Yeah.
fourth, fifth item?
It can really be what you want. It just depends on what your job is in that game. Like I really like BT if you're in a game where it's hard to get bursted, right? Because you just drain tank. Like this is a perfect game where BT is an insanely good item. Like no one other team could burst me, so I just heal, 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 heal. Jack shows a good game where you can get burst and you're against like heavy AP and AD champs. Like you can go like Jack show. That stance is amazing if you're against heavy AD threats. Titanic is a great item if you want more burst damage. Shojin is great if you are going to go for a short combo with your ERQW and then E back. Shojin is great. So like the fourth and fifth item don't matter that much, and that's where the flexibility can come in. And it really again just depends on what your job is in the game. Like I kind of go one of those 4 different items depending on the game where I'm in.
Go your runes. You said
Yeah.
that the Absorb Life Triumph. So why did you take Triumph this game, out of curiosity?
Yeah, so I took Triumph because I know that Swin is not really a powerful laner, right? Swin is quite a weak laner against Yone, in my opinion. So Triumph will help for like skirmishes, right? Because if you look at their champs, they've got Hecarim, Swain, Garen, all of the skirmish. I think Triumph is amazing for skirmishes. Obviously, doesn't do anything in lane. So yeah, because Swin is not really the best laner, and I know it's gonna be a skirmish heavy game, I'm gonna go Triumph.
And then is that the same thought process for the Shield Bash versus
Yes.
Overgrowth?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Shield Bash, yeah. Shield Bash better for early game skirmishes, better for trades in lane, and it scales worse than Overgrowth.
Okay, so AJ, now this is always what I like to do is now I look to see is like this
Yep.
is your opinion of the
Yes.
Yone build. AJ as the Yone
Yeah.
expert. Now let's see if what you're saying here the community agrees with you. So this is Emerald
Yep.
Plus on the patch. This is global. So yeah, I mean it looks again quite consensus. 83% pick rate. As you said, the Yuntal 8% people try and cook a little bit. Yeah, no one's really building these items.
Kraken not really that
Interestingly,
good. Yeah.
enough. The win rate for Blade is 49, and with a lot of games, does Yone have a bad win rate at the moment?
Yeah, if you actually go to Master Plus, I think he has a 45% win rate in Master Plus right now.
Wow,
Yeah,
very
so his win
interesting.
rate is very low. We'll get into it, but Yone has this weird effect where he's very frustrating to play against. But when you play him, it's very hard. It's very hard to get the job done. So what happens is it creates this weird kind of effect for Riot, where it's like, who do you balance for? Do you balance for the people who complain about Yone,
Mm,
or do you balance for the Yone players who are struggling, or do you balance for pro player, where Yone is really good in pro play as well and controlled game? So it's like you got three different avenues tearing each other apart, and this is what makes Yone so hard because they end up nerfing like the things are frustrating, but then the champion's kit becomes just harder and harder and harder to use. And so now we're kind of at this point now where the win rate's quite bad in solo queue because most people honestly have no idea how to play Yone in terms of reference points and mechanical ability. But then when you play against it, you're like, oh man, fuck playing against Yone. So that's kind of where we're at right now with them.
Zed's the same, right? Sort of, it's
Yes,
like the
that
Z
is very
issue as well. I
similar.
think Riot
Yes,
have talked about it. That's
that's right.
really hard to balance Zed because who do you
Yes,
balance it for? Yeah.
that's right.
Okay, so yep, shield bow, 58. Yep, most people are going in
Yep.
shield bow. Some people cook him with IE second.
Yeah.
Do you ever go IE second?
Very rarely. Sometimes if I'm like really fed up with IE second, but to be honest, you don't need it because you already do enough damage. Like Yone strength is his DPS. Like shield bow versus IE, if you actually get a second item, it's like maybe like 25-30% more damage if you're just sitting there hitting them. But like to be honest, if you get on a squishy as Yone with shield bow or IE, you're killing them 100-0, right? So like you can go IE if you're like you have to play against a tank. Like if you're against a Mundo or something, you got to match in the side and you like really need that IE ASAP. I can see it being pretty solid as a second item.
All right, so the IE third. Now,
Yep.
the question I want to ask you, people
Yeah.
really sort of struggle thinking about healing reduction, finding
Yes.
healing reduction in the game.
Yes.
What's your perspective on healing
Okay.
reduction on Yone, and I guess in general here? Because I didn't really see
Yeah.
your build at all. I
Yeah.
didn't see any mortal
So
reminders.
yeah, so let's just talk high level first of all, right? With healing reduction is actually good when you can't burst somebody, right? Like healing is good in sustained longer fights, in my opinion, right? That's why you go Oblivion or against Vlad because you're laning for a long period of sustained amount of time. The thing is with Yone is that again he does so much DPS and he has so much burst that most champions can't actually heal enough. Like just I want you guys to imagine an IE Blade, Shield Bow Yone, Aring and Aphelios, and Soraka is healing him. That's Aphelios is not surviving, right?
No.
So Mortal Reminder is just literally heals them more than IE because you're doing less damage per second. So even though you're cutting their healing, you're no longer getting the crit multiplier from IE, so you're actually killing them more
Mm,
slowly. So that's why I don't like it. Not to mention Armor Pen is only 70% effective on Yone because his W does half magic damage. Uh, his auto attacks do half magic damage. His R does half magic damage, right? So you're only getting 70% effectiveness from the armor pin. So like imagine that 35% actually read like 29% or whatever. Like that looks a lot less enticing as well. Like you're losing stats by going armor pen. So the only time I'll go like Mortal Reminder is if they have a lot of tanks and they have a lot of healing, right? Where like they're stacking armor and like you need that armor pen really bad, and they have healing. So like I think if they have like a Mundo and like a Zac together, I think that's like the only time I would probably even consider
mm.
Mortal Reminder.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's really rare though, still, right? So
Yeah,
you're
very
really,
rare.
really
Yes.
rarely building this. Yeah, because your sort of just doesn't align with your champ identity because like
Yes.
people are dead. If you're hitting your abilities, they're
Yes.
just dead,
That's right.
right? With Yone.
Yes.
Okay. So now talk about the fourth, fifth item. Now
Yep.
you said that you really like Bloodthirst for a lot of games. We
Yes.
saw this a lot, but look at this AJ. It's barely
Yeah, people
touched.
don't play it as don't build it as
So I
much.
think this is where maybe the community is missing. Why are they not building this item? What do you think the view of this is?
I think it's just because what happens the later in the game against Yone is that people get very scared of getting bursted, right? Because the reality is you're playing a squishy melee champion that has mobility that's tied to hitting people, right? So your champ technically has no mobility if you're not hitting someone, right? Like if they're chasing you, it's very hard to skip. You have to bring your ult. So what happens is that people feel very incentivized to build armor and MR later into the game so they get bursted, right? But BT is good when you are confident that you can't get bursted, right? And so that's the difference. Is I have more confidence in my ability to recognize when's a game that I'm going to get bursted versus not. I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about your
GA
confidence,
as well.
AJ.
Yeah.
GA, I mean, I don't really see much GA,
No.
I think, as well on your
Items
build. So,
just very stat inefficient item. I'm a big efficiency of stats items. That's why I don't go more reminder that much. GA is an extremely stat inefficient item, right? The trade off is that GA can be really valuable for like a major fight if you miss position. But I have so much confidence in my Yone now at this point that I don't need the GA to be able to win a fight. I just position better, stack up my Q better, utilize my R better, and then get the healing from BT, utilize the BT, and that's more than enough for me most games.
yeah, against a good Yone player, there is some on our server as well. And yeah, like
Yeah,
I think about playing against a Yone, and
yeah,
I'm sort of the jungler, right? So I need to sort of be
yeah.
thinking about killing them in the side lane. But
Mhm.
a Yone with, Blade, Shield Bow, I, and then Bloodthirster, that is terrifying.
Yes, it's
With
very hard to
GA,
win.
like I'm
Yes,
like, actually, it's whatever. I can
that's
pop the
fine.
GA and sort of back
Exactly.
off, right? But this just
Yeah,
breaks
it just
things a little bit.
feels way more scary from like the
It's
from the
so
opposition.
much more
Exactly.
scary.
Yeah,
You're gonna be doing like it's like your Yone seems like you're gonna be doing just more damage when it comes to fourth, fifth
that's
items
right.
than most other Yones.
Yeah.
Again, that confidence.
Yep.
Okay. Any other honorable mentions you want to talk about items? Any of these items?
Yeah, Stride Breaker is an honorable mention. People haven't been building it recently. It used to be very popular on Yone. Um, So what makes this item good is it gives you slow. So again, something that people really struggle with Yone is getting your damage off. How do I get my damage off? How do I kill people? Stride Breaker gives you everything you want, right? It gives you attack speed, which is DPS because you have lethal tempo. Yeah, it gives you 40 AD, which is quite a bit. Actually, AD is Yone's best stat. It's not crit or attack speed. AD is actually his best stat. So AD is quite good. Health for the durability, but then again, the slows and you stick on the people. So I would say like I think Stride Breaker is a very good item that you can go. Like again, if you feel like you need durability or you're not confident with your Yone as like your third or fourth item, and I think you'd be pretty happy with it as long as you utilize the active well.
Okay. Skill order now,
Yep.
AJ.
Hmm.
So does that change at all? Or is that also
No,
copy paste? So
it's
stick with this one.
Q level one, W 99% of the time level two. Only time you take E level two is if like you hit level two before somebody and they're like a mage and they're messing up their position, you can E onto them. But 99% of the time W, then E level three, and then just Q all the way through, then E all the way through, and then W and R.
Great. Nice and simple.
Yep.
Okay, AJ. Let's jump into the practice tool now.
Awesome.
Okay, AJ, we're going to talk here about abilities, combos, tips, and you've coached a lot of Yone players, AJ.
Yes.
Also, how do people stuff up with this
Yeah.
champions kit,
Okay.
right?
Yep. So let's start with the most common thing. So the most common thing I see is the W usage and how you're using it in trades. So the way you want to view W is a range extender because if you compare the range of your Q to your W, notice how much bigger the range is, right?
Mm.
So your W is a range extender. You use your W last, which sounds very counterintuitive, right? Because it's like, wait, it gives a shield and it does damage. Why would I use it last? But because it's a range extender and because your champion wins trades when you're on top of somebody, typically when you're going for a kind of longer trade, you want to end with W, right?
It's
So
like a
like
finishing move.
it's
It's a
like a
finishing
finisher move.
move.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
usually what happens is like people will like weave in their W like that, right? Instead of using your W at the end when they're running away. Second thing I want to talk about is really, really big with Yone is that your E lasts 5 seconds, but it can actually last longer than that, right? Because if you get CC'd in the duration of your E, obviously extends the duration. Now, something really interesting is that Yone's W and Yone's Q and Yone's R, guess what they do? They self stun himself, right? Because your W is a cast
Mm.
animation, your Q is a cast animation. So the way I want you guys to view the E is, let's say you're doing your combo, right? What I would be doing here is I'll be going for a W right at the end there. You notice the W extends the duration of my E. Now, it's a little hard to notice because so much attack speed, but especially early into the game, like levels 3 to 4, you really want to use your W at the end of an E trade to extend the duration, or you want to use your Q at the end of an E trade. So, like, if you have the option before your E runs out to go for a Q or auto attack, you're going to go for your Q always because you see, again, the duration is extended. If I only went for auto there, I probably wouldn't have gotten that one off. So I'll say those are the two biggest things: is understanding how the E works, how to juice the amount of duration of your E, and how to actually you think about using your W in extended trades. I'd say that's
I
like the
guess
biggest thing.
that's like so counterintuitive because people think,
Yes.
AJ, I'm in
Yes.
combat. I need to just blow all my
Yes.
abilities. It's fun to hit abilities in League of
Yes.
Legends, right? So you have to
Yes.
really think about using it to extend the duration and sort of view your W as a sort of finishing move.
Yeah. That's right.
Because you're just going to, with miss auto attacks, just waste auto attacks, right? In that sort of period
That's
of
right. And
time.
that's what I see all the time. People miss so many auto attacks because what they'll do is they'll go like E W, right? And then it's like you just already missed two auto attacks compared to me, right? If I
Yeah,
start
yeah.
with E auto Q auto W auto Q, right? That's like I'm weaving in 4 or 5 more auto attacks than somebody else. So I'm just like doing literally twice or 3 times as much damage, right? Um, and the other big thing, people really do not understand the ults. So like the reality is people really struggle with Yone because a lot of his abilities are not intuitive, right? People think of the R as a CC ability, right? Because it is technically a CC ability. They think of it as, a damage ability, a skill that does damage. Your R is actually a mobility skill first, damage second, and damage second, right? So let's say you're in a situation. I'll stack my Q off the crab. Let's say I want to kill this. Sorry, one sec. Let's say we want to kill this target, right? Most people would do this. They would go E into Q3 and then R, right?
Mhm.
But actually, as Yone, it's much better to start with R when you have your Q3, right? So we stack up our Q3 again. Just wait a sec for E to come up, right? And we go E into R. Even if we miss, notice how it's really easy to redirect our Q now because our Q is way easier to land than our R is, our Q3. So it's extremely important that you guys don't value the damage or CC of the R. You want to value as a mobility spell. Like let's say I'm flanking and there's like an Aphelios on mid, right? I'm not gonna like try to min max and greed an R. I'm just gonna R to get on top of it. If I miss, who cares? I'm already on top of him now. It's really easy to win. So I'd say
So your auto attacks are doing way more damage, the actual R damage. How much damage
yes,
does the R damage actually even do? You can also refresh your cooldowns on the top left, by the
yeah.
way,
Let's
AJ, or the
refresh
top
them.
left, refresh
Yep.
that. So how much damage does it actually do when you
Yeah.
hit it?
So it does like around what is that 522 with these items. If you notice our Q, look how much our Q does. 758.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? If you compare that to the R did 500 something, right? So
Yeah.
one Q is 25% more damage than R, right? And that's not even counting for the Bork percentage max HP as well. We haven't even talked about that. The slow they get from the Bork from the auto attacks, right? Same thing with the W, right? The W is very low damage compared to your Q and your auto attacks. So it's like everything in your kit is revolved around how many auto attacks can I get in and how many Qs can I get in.
So your R, you don't even care about. You're happy to
No,
miss your
I
R
yeah
ability.
yeah.
So
They'll
just
be
to get in range.
Yeah, like there'll be another scenario. Like imagine here, let's say you're contesting Baron, right? And the enemy team wants to contest here. I would go ERQ3 like that.
Mm.
Almost every Yone I see, even in Challenger, does EQ3R. This is much worse because now you're contingent on landing your Q3. Whereas the problem is that again, your Q3 is so easy to land relative to your R. So you wanna use the harder to land ability first to get on top of them, and then boom, easy redirect your Q3. And I kill so many challenger players like this. Like even I just played a game before we hopped into this. I played against Ace, so he thought he was safe. He was at 60% HP on her turn, and he's like, "Oh, I'll just flash Yone's R, right?" But I had my Q3 up, right? He flashed my R, and then I Q3'd, and I'm on top of him, and he's just dead. So that's like extremely important on Yone. Very, very
Yeah, this is
important.
making a lot of sense. I feel like people's minds is like, I got to get like the
Yes.
montage, so the 4-man
Yes.
R, or whatever. You were just
No.
like, I don't care. I'm already on top of them, killing people before I
Yeah.
even care about that.
Yeah. Exactly. You don't. That it doesn't really matter that much. What are some other small things that we can talk about in terms of ability usage? I would say something that's really important is also just level one. Is you could stack like your Q obviously can hit fog of war. So what you can do a lot of times is you can like start to stack your Q over the wall, like, right? You can because there's a sound effect. You can like stack your Q, and now I have my Q3 ready. Like, and you can even do this like later into the lane as well. Like, let's say the wave is pushing into you, right? And you're in fog of war over here. You can like go Q, right? And then stack your Q again, right? If the Raptors would reset here, um, yeah, I guess they're not resetting, but you get the point, right? You can stack your Q and then come in with your Q3 over here, right? And
Yep.
that's something that's really really powerful in Unity.
So does this champ have like a max damage combo, or is it literally just you're just slamming at auto attacks as much as
Yeah,
possible, and you just have to hit your
yeah.
Q3?
So the max damage, it's kind of theoretical because it really depends on the situation you're in. Like technically, the max damage is literally not even pressing your R, and so you're just going in with E auto Q auto Q auto auto Q auto Q auto Q the W to extend at the end. That is literally the max damage combo. If I
Yeah.
weave in my E and if I weave in my W and my R early, it's lower damage but higher burst, right? So if you want the highest burst possible, you would go E R Q auto W E pullback, right? Again, W at the end always in these combos.
Do you find people struggle to weave in auto attacks between
Yes,
Qs?
yes. Well,
Is that
well,
because there's too attack speed overload with this champion? What tips would you give to someone to weave in more auto attacks?
it's putting a lot more mental stack on understanding where your damage is coming from. I think like the problem is people are so tunnel vision on landing like because like if you are worried about landing your ults and you're worried about using your W, what's going to happen is that you don't have mental stack to actually think about how I weave in my auto attacks with my Q. Right. So the way I would view it is like, okay, I'm gonna like practice this for like 20 games. And like when I go for a trade, I'm gonna like try to use my W last or use my R as a gap close. And I'm gonna work on just like putting mental stack on like auto attacking after every single Q. And in terms of like how to actually mechanically do it, the way I do it is I do Q right click. So I would Q right click them, right click, you know. And one thing you can do is like don't feel pressured to have to press your Q on cooldown. That's another big thing I see. People end up
Mm.
rushing their Q. So like what I usually do is like let's say I Q, but I'm not confident I can weave another auto attack. I'll actually just keep autoing and hold my Q, right? I'll only use my Q when I know I can land it, or I know I've already gotten that auto attack first, because your auto attacks are undodgeable, right? And it's almost the same damage as your Q. It's like only 100 less, so it's not that much worse to not be queuing. Um, it's really really important that you get those auto attacks off.
Okay, I love that advice. So yeah, so you're saying it's not really a problem of like a mechanical thing. It's just
No.
people's attention is in the wrong things. They're
Yes.
trying to smash their abilities and their mental
Yes.
attack's overwhelmed. Yes, I
Yes.
see. This make a lot of
Yes.
sense. Okay, Q3.
Yes.
Talk about how you view Q3, because obviously
Okay.
Q3, there's a lot of ways you could use it. People like
Yeah.
really like me. I'm a jungler ganking,
Yes.
Yones with E and Q3, and like I lose
Yeah.
my mind sometimes. How do we
Yeah.
maximize Q3 for I guess survivability as well as like just general trading or
Yeah.
fighting?
Yeah. So depending on the matchup you're in, you want to use your Q3 either as a pressure denial or to apply pressure. So like if you're in a hard matchup, like let's say I'm against Akshan, very hard early game matchup, I'm going to stack my Q3 with absolutely zero intention of Q3ing him. But if you're the
Mm.
Akshan and you see a Yone walking up to you with Q3, you're going to get really scared. So like what I would do is I would like go, okay, stack my Q1, right? Get Q3, and I would like click forward, right? And like because you can see the
You're
range, you
scaring.
know the range better than him because you have the indicator. You just space him with the Q, push him back, and that gives you access to the wave. Because one of Yone's most difficult things is getting access to minions early game because his early game is so weak. So utilizing your Q3 to get access to minions is really, really important. The other thing is not always feeling like you need a Q3 to trade, because that makes your trading patterns very, very predictable. That's actually another mistake I see a lot of Yones is they only go in for trades when they have Q3. But actually, what you can do is you can just E if they miss space. Like imagine your E is just a normal another mobility spell. Like if let's say the enemy Octron is this caster minion here, I would just E onto it and just go, right? I don't need my Q3 ready. I can just get there. And then what I can actually do is stack my Q3 off of him. Then when I E back, I can like disengage or I get ganked, right? Or I could take my E and then go on with the trade, or I can even do the R into Q3 right after I stack it up. So that's how I do it. It's like don't feel like you need to have Q3 to trade as well. Like that, those would be like the two biggest things in terms of the Q.
Okay, and then E usage, I
Yes.
guess. Maybe it's also in combination with
Yes.
Q3, but yeah, so what are some tips for
Okay.
E?
Yeah, so this is the most complicated ability on Yone's cat. This is where a lot of the mechanical element comes in. This is where the micro comes into play. Um, First of all, E can go over short walls, right? So you can use your E. So one thing I even like to do is like E over, stack your Q3, and then now boom, I'm ready to go, right? If I want. Like let's say there's a fight down here, I can like stack my Q3 with my E, then turn here or something. So using it for dash is really important. Um, Another thing is using your E for safety. Like if you're gonna go for a trade, you always of course start with E. That's pretty intuitive though, but yeah, start with your E for a trade, right? Like if you're about to go for all in or there's a big team fight, something that's really important about E is that because it gives you so much safety and it gives you the mobility you need. Usually in a team fight, I start with my E because that gives me the ability to actually get out of the play if I need to. So that'd be like another thing. Another thing about E is that some abilities you can buffer. So what I mean by buffer, right? If a CC ability is about to hit you and you press the return, that will cancel the CC. So the perfect example I give is Nautilus ult. So Nautilus ult's a knockup right before, like it does like the depth charge, so it does like the 3 ticks and then it hits you, right? If
Mhm.
you press your E right as that hits you to return, that actually cancels it. Because you're unstoppable in the duration. Now it doesn't work for every CC ability. They changed it recently. It doesn't work for every CC ability. So like any Q, if it's stunned, if the stun is ready, you can't cancel that, right? But like knockups or sleep, you can cancel, or disjoint. So like Zac Q, you can cancel. So you you just gotta learn. That's kind of just like a knowledge check. You just gotta know which champions you can cancel or not. But that's something that's really really important on Yone as well. Um, Another thing about the E is that gives you ramping movement speed. So something that's really important is that when you're going for a trade, don't be scared if somebody's far away to start with E really early. Because again, Yone just needs to get his damage off. He needs to find a way to get in range. So don't feel bad about only having half the duration of your E left. Even if I still have half the duration of my E with these items, somebody's dead. And a squishy's dead in that amount of time. So don't be afraid to like just go, literally run at them with the E. Like you'll see that sometimes I just run at somebody with E. Or like let's say I get a Hui or something, right? And like we're in the middle lane, I'll like E and like because that's so much movement speed, I'll like sidestep his E, right? His fear, and then boom, now I'm ready to go in. So that's another thing about E. Like don't feel like you need to min max the value of it. Sometimes it's okay just to use it as a movement speed buff, as a dash, right? Some a little bit of mobility because he is lacking the mobility if you don't have Q3 up, right? E's your only other mobility spell.
How much are you thinking about the E cooldown in stages of the game? Because like, could you fight without E, or is it like you're really reliant on E as this champion?
So it depends on the point of the game. Early game, yes, you really need your E to take trades and fights. Without E, it's extremely hard to win trades. But it's like it's like two sides of the same coin because when you have E up, almost no champion can win a trade against Yone with lethal tempo and E up. If you're just sitting there hitting them for 5 seconds, right? I can't really think of that many champs. Like maybe like some other lethal tempo mid laner can win, but besides that, there's not really many other champs that can win with your E on. Right, so that's how I like to view the E early game. Later into the game, you don't need to use your E to kill people as much, right? I'm using my E more for safety and for mobility later into the game. But yeah, early game, you do kind of want to be using your E to guarantee that you win trades. Or like sometimes I even use like time against Ori. Sometimes I'll use my E to like dodge for Q just because I need to survive early game as well.
All right, awesome stuff, AJ. Anything else you want to mention before we jump
Um,
into your gameplay?
Yeah, I think the only other small thing I'll mention is like let's just talk about the lane trade. Like let's say you get to Ori,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
hard to get like a good laning phase trade. What you want to actually do is just go E Q W E. That's it. Don't worry about taking like it's again very counterintuitive, right? It's like oh Yone wants his extended trades, he wants these long trades, right? In reality, just a short trade works because you're a D Shield second win champion. So if you just go in, get like 3 or 4 short trades against some mage, like so, they're losing all of a sudden, right? So
So in that
it's
combo, you're not even Q3. You don't even Q3 in
no,
that
nope.
situation.
No,
No
you don't even
Q3.
want Q3. I'd rather not
Okay.
have Q3 for this. I just want to go
Wow.
EQW stand back because again, something that's complicated about Yone is that your Q3 self stuns yourself, right? Because think about how long it takes for your Q3 to dash, especially because it scales off your movement speed. That the speed of it scales off your movement speed and attack speed. So early game, when you don't have movement speed or attack speed, you're stuck in your Q3 animation just like this for so long. So that's a full like half a second window for somebody to punish you. But if you go like that, right, that's instant nearly, right? That's like in 0.25 seconds I can get that off. Um, so yeah, that's how I would view early lane trading. Against melees, save your E for extended trades. I would say melee matchups are really the matchups where you want to be using your E for extended trades. But besides that, the tricky thing again about Yone is very opportunistic. Like you can there's like almost an infinite skill ceiling. Like I can show you a laning phase, and there's like 6,000 small things specific to that lane only that I'm doing. Right. In a different game, I'll be using my abilities in a completely different way. So it's really hard to give like I guess a bread and butter just like do this every game. But I would say these are like the high level concepts you want to be thinking about when you're laning, and then it's up to you to use a toolkit. It's like imagine you have a toolbox of things that you can do. Just you need to pick the right one. That's like the
Yeah.
mindset.
And I guess this just comes with time, right? So you
Yes,
just
time.
understanding matchups and stuff, and so you could
Yes,
be using a combination of all these different sort of combos
yes,
in the same game in certain
yes,
situations, right? As well as
yes.
matchups.
That's right, and that's what we'll see in the VODs.
Awesome. Yeah, this champ looks so fun,
Yeah,
AJ.
he's
Right.
very
So
fun.
let's take a look at everything you've talked about so far implemented in real time. If you're enjoying this video, getting into the Yone details and want to get coached by AJ, you can by joining the Mid Lane Academy. Link will be in the description below. Or if you want something more free, we have our school community with over 6,000 members. We have a climbing masterclass course, champion pool tier lists. Let's get back to AJ with Yone. Before I jump in to, we start breaking down this game,
Yep.
I sort of just ask you some general high level questions with Yone.
Yep.
So tell me about the difficulty of this champion. Like if you were to put this champion like out of 10, you mentioned that this champion has a pretty bad win rate.
Yes.
You said 45% above master
Yes.
currently.
Yeah. Something like
So where is he in the meta? How difficult is he? Like what's going on with Yone?
Yep. Right off the bat, I think he's a 10 out of 10 difficulty. And
Wow.
people are going to feel a lot of people are going to be very defensive about that. Like, all the time in my stream, I hear people come in and say, well, why are you saying Yone is so hard? It's because the difficulty is invisible, right? Like the mechanics on the surface is not like super like extremely hard to understand, right? Like an Irelia is. He looks again really strong when you're watching it. Like when he has Bork and he just one shot somebody, it like looks really strong, and like he just feels very oppressive to play against. But actually playing as him, there's so many invisible things. It's like, and you'll see this in this game. It's like, how do I use my E in this matchup to survive ganks? How do I know when I'm getting ganked? How can I farm 10 CS per minute in a hard matchup, right? When do I go in with Q3? Can I buffer Yasuo's Q with my Q3? It's like I'm like thinking about like 1,000 small things that is completely invisible unless it's pointed out. And that is actually what makes this champ so like one of the hardest champs in the game, because like a champion like Azir is so very clearly difficult that people understand how hard he is to play. But because a lot of Yone's difficulty is invisible and small nuanced stuff, it becomes very, very hard to even figure out how to improve in those areas. And that's where a lot of people struggle with on him.
Yeah, I guess people like look at Yone, like as you said, like a
Yes.
clip or a montage or whatever, and like there's
Yes.
no counterplay to this
Yes.
EQ. It's just on me. But you're saying that
Yes.
those are just such specific nitpicked situations. That's not
Yes.
actually the reality of
That's not how you win games, Yone.
how you win games as Yone. Yes.
Yes. That's right.
Okay, talk to me now, AJ. You
Yep.
are a mid lane, pretty much exclusively mid lane Yone
Yes.
player, right? What's
Yeah.
the,
Yeah, that's right. Only mid.
what's the difference between mid Yone and top Yone, or is it quite similar?
Yeah, I would say they're somewhat similar. I would say the difference is that top Yone has a lot more heavy trading matchups where you can win by heavy trading, whereas a lot of mid lane Yone comes down to how much pressure can I eat up from the map from getting ganked, how can I get to my Bork as fast as I can, and how can I make sure I get as much priority as I can. Because another weakness and something that the reason why Yone is such a hard champ is that he's a melee champion that really struggles to get priority at any point in the game. Like even think of like a champ like Kiana mid, they can get priority at level 3, right? If they need it for like a jungle skirmish, or they're really good at being late to a play. Problem is, Yone needs to be early to a play, but he's a champion that can't get priority. So it's like, how do you find that balance to make sure the game doesn't end before Bork, while you're not getting priority, while you're really bad at moving the plays when you're not first, right? So like that alone is already a big invisible difficulty that no one ever thinks about, right?
All right, so let's jump into this game now here, AJ. First thing,
Yep.
some of the YouTube comments, people were saying they want me to ask everyone what
Yeah.
the favorite skin is with the
Oh,
champion.
yeah.
What's the best Yone skin?
Yeah, I have a very specific one. It's Ocean Song Yone, which is like the beach one with the purple chroma. He has such a nice like purplish like cape. It looks so good. That's
It looks
that's probably my
clean.
favorite. Yeah.
You don't. This is your other account. You don't have this skin on
This
this
is
account, do
this
you?
is yeah, this is my Smurf. This is like my 900 LP Smurf, I think, around there. So yeah, I have no skins, unfortunately.
Okay, AJ, you load into the game.
Yep.
What are you thinking about level 1 jungle matchup? Or are you literally just saying I'm just purely just thinking about my actual mid lane matchup?
Yep. So Yone is a champion that really scales off of your selfishness early game. So the majority of my mental stack, I'd say 80% of my mental stack is focused on the 1v1, right? It's like, how can I get to Bork without my lane exploding? That's like the key. You need that. If you can get to, this is what I say, if you get to Bork at 14 minutes without the game exploding, you're golden. So that is my mindset. It's like, how do I want to play against Yasuo so I can get to Bork without the game ending? Right. And now I am putting a little bit of mental stack on my jungle, right? I know I have an Elise with Dark Harvest, which means that heavy trading would benefit me because Elise loves heavy trading mids, right? So I am slightly thinking about it, but I'm not like putting a lot of emphasis on like, oh, like, I gotta get prio at level 3 because Elise wants to invade. Like I'm not going that high, like deep. I'm like just thinking very surface level of the jungle, what does jungler want to do, and then I'm going very deep in my matchup.
Okay, and so why did you choose this VOD specifically? Is this you've also Yasuo
Yes.
here?
So
Why did you want to
this VOD, I think, will break people's worldview on Yone because no one knows how to play Yone. No one understands how to play Yone that is like a pro player, in my opinion. People think that Yone is this like really dopamine maxing, outplaying, saying yes to every play, 1v9 machine. Not at all. And you're gonna see I purposely look at how volatile this topside is. I think that was 3 melees on both sides. 6 melee topside with the Thresh. This is a game where people would expect there is gonna be a shit ton of outplaying happening by me. You're gonna notice, yes, I will outplay, I will outskirmish, I will outfight, but that's not the core of my gameplay. The core of my gameplay comes from good quality warding. You already say I put down the level 1 ward. It comes from good quality wave management. It comes from taking trades that aren't low quality trades, and it comes from keeping myself healthy. All mid lane fundamentals, nothing to do with Yone.
Very interesting. Okay, so I guess that's where our attention is going to be here. We're going to be
Yes.
looking at very clean Yone gameplay.
Yes.
You don't have to run around here and get in. People would say this is a game where we're going to go 15, 10, and
Yeah,
7
nope.
or whatever it is, right?
Not at all.
Okay. All right, tell me about this ward then. You the ward. What do you do with the ward? Did you always ward level 1?
I try to award level 1 as much as I possibly can because again, Yone can't really get priority early game. So getting that award level 1 against matchups where I know I can't get priority will really help my team, right? Because again, I want to stop volatility in the game, get to my BotRK. So putting this ward down gives my whole this isn't even ward isn't for myself, right? Warding level 1 is not that good for me because I'm a melee champion, right? What it is good for is for my team. Now everyone knows where Talon is. So that already makes it way less volatile. The game is way less volatile just from the level 1 ward.
So you also always ward the raptors on this side of the map. You just ward raptors. That's the best ward that you
Yes,
find.
that's right.
Yeah, especially junglers. A lot of junglers do raptor start nowadays, right? So
Yeah,
it just give you a lot of information.
that's right.
Okay, so talk to me a bit more about this matchup. You say you go deep into the matchup. That's what you're thinking about. Bork,
Yes.
what are we thinking about here against Yasuo?
Yeah. So Yasuo, the advantage Yasuo has over Yone is that he has a shield level 1, right? So his trades are just always going to be better than yours, Q for Q. So what I'm looking to do in this lane is just get points in my E because once you get like level 10, 11 on Yone and you have like 3 points in your E, and like I was talking about, right? Once you have E, you can start winning trades against most champions. But because my E isn't leveled early game, it doesn't have that many levels. I don't have that much base damage. It's very hard to win trades against Yasuo early. So I'm going to be very, very, very minimize like heavy, right? Like I'm going to keep the wave on my side. I'm going to go for just short, fast trades. I'm okay with getting pushed in. I'm just gonna scale until I get my level 9 spike. That's when I can really start to play against Yasuo a lot more.
Yes, I guess a question that I would have for you is that,
Yeah,
okay, so you seem like you're very sort of happy to sort of sit back. People will be saying,
yeah,
well, I'm sitting back, everything's exploding, my team's exploding, and I'm just
yep,
getting pressure. They're getting, having mid lane priority is quite powerful, in terms of
yes,
denying the enemy junglers, your junglers options as well, right? If you don't have priority.
yes.
So, how would you say to people that, like, I feel like I'm not doing anything, I'm just slowly losing games?
So, so I think the important thing is to understand is what is your job? Like, like what is Yone's actual job? How do you win games as Yone? Like, you don't win games as Yone by like getting pressure, like getting prio on every single wave and like roaming to every play. That's just not how Yone wins games. How you win games is you win the side lane with BotRK, right? So I already know before the game starts, I'm signing an invisible contract in my mind that if I pick Yone and I'm in against a strong early laning champion, I will have to concede priority. I will make up the difference mid game. So that is actually what the mindset needs to be. You need to have absolute confidence in your ability to make up the difference mid game, right? You need it.
Very interesting. So you think it's just you win the game in the big game with this champion?
Yes, that's right. Once you get BotRK, so post 14 minutes is when usually I win. I always say it on stream. I say if I get the BotRK at 14 minutes, well, the game volatile, I win. And I think I literally have an 80% win rate if I'm
Yeah.
0-0-0 at 14 minutes at BotRK. With BotRK.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's gonna blow people's brains,
Yes,
AJ. So yeah,
that's right.
you thrive in the 0-0-0
Yes.
Yone
That's
gameplay.
right, and that's what people don't understand. That right? People think that you need to get a lead or doing it, or you need to get shit done. No, you are mid game spiking champion.
All right, well, this is great. You had the wave on your side, and now you
Yep,
just slow push in, and
slow
then that's
push.
going to allow you to get a really good recall here, I assume.
Yep, and so the reason why I don't recall is because I have the advantage right now. So whenever I have the advantage as Yone in lane, I want to maintain that as long as possible. If I recalled there, he'll match my recall, which I don't want. Right? I'd rather stay on the map for longer than and greed my resources.
And when you say advantage, it's because he's lower HP, so you want
Less
to
HP.
lane lock him. You want to
Yes.
keep him stuck
Lane
in the
lock.
lane, and
Yes.
then start shoving him in here, and
Spot
just
on.
keep him stuck.
Yep.
And now he's obviously base, and now you
Yeah.
can base, right? Oh,
He
he
actually,
didn't base.
if you actually go back, right, this is exactly what I was talking about, right? That's why I love this VOD that I picked. He actually roamed and killed my Elise, right? Most people be panicking,
Ah,
like, oh fuck, like this
yeah.
Yasuo's roamed twice already. He went top that one time, and now he's killing my Elise. I have an Elise early game champ. I'm screwed. No, when he killed him here, I remember I did a live commentary this game when he killed him, and I got a free reset for my Bruiser girl. I was like, this guy's trolling. I said that because I am very happy with getting a lane like this scot free, right? I'm 42 CS of 4 minutes. I'm so happy right now. I'm in such an insane position. I don't care about the chaos happening around me.
So you talked about just before,
Yeah.
AJ, about lane locking, right?
Yep.
So you said that you have the HP, you have the advantage here.
Yes.
Why are you recalling now?
So the difference is
Why
that
not
he
keep
has
this guy?
red. Yeah, so the difference he has red now. So the problem is that if I stay, I was worried that he might actually be able to win trades, or he might be able to get the wave in, or he can just base and TP back before I do, and then he can actually kind of keep me trapped in lane with red. So that's why I went for proactive base here because I was worried that he would just eat this wave up and then base and TP back with the 300 gold he
So
got from the
it's
leads.
literally just because he has red buff. If you have no red buff, you would
Yes,
stay
I would
here.
say yes.
Okay. You'd like chuck a ward on the Raptors again or whatever, and you just
Yes.
keep pressuring.
That's right.
I see. God, well, how often does the goddamn mid laner get red buff? That's pretty crazy. I've never seen that before. All right, so attack speed boots, first item.
Yep.
That's, I mean, is that so? Do you think? I mean, a lot of the what we saw in your OPGG was 3 daggers.
Yep.
But you're very happy for a first boots flat
Yeah.
out. Because you were saying before you don't really care too much about the tier 2 boots. It's
Yeah,
not
so
just people
so all what it was and what I was trying to say is like it's just about how do I spend the most amount of gold most efficiently as possible. Like buying berserkers at 1200 is just a very efficient buy, so I did
Okay.
that. But like if I base at 800, I'd be okay with going triple or double dagger. Or if I base at 500, I'd be okay with Cole. Right? It just depends on how much gold I had when I based. Yeah, so something that's really important there about what I did, if we go back, is that your Q3 can buffer knockups. So what I actually did there to cancel Yasuo's R is I Q3'd when he Q3'd me, right? So you notice what happened is that I'm Q3'd while I'm CC'd, and that actually CC's him as well. So that prevents him from getting the ult, right? If I didn't Q3 right there, he would have R'd me. I maybe would have died.
Oh, wow. That's very clean.
Yeah.
Huge.
So I tried to fish for art there, it didn't work out, but if I got it, would have been huge. But yeah, like again, like I'm trading out level 6 because I know this is a part of the lane where again with my E I can win a little bit, and that's what I did. Like I traded with my E, and that's what allowed this trade to be somewhat quite close. Yep, and I try to keep
Get
him
him,
trapped in lane
Elise.
with Elise. Get the wave in.
Yasuo has no flash here. Do you think much about like punishing people's flashes?
Oh, for sure. It would depend on the matchup. A melee matchup with Yasuo, not as much. But if I'm against like a Syndra, because Syndra's very hard 1v1, I'm really trying to get my team excited if they have no flash. Because your R goes from being impossible to land to very easy to land if they have no flash, right? Because most people will try to flash out of Yone's R. So if they have no flash, I'm very happy with trying to go for R on them. But that's more relevant for against like again range champions that don't have much mobility, right?
So right now, your mindset once again is still just Operation Blade of the Ruin King.
Yes.
That's all I'm thinking about.
Yes, that's all I'm
You don't
thinking
care about the roaming. You don't.
Nope.
You don't want to go to the chaos. You don't want to
Nope.
fight in the river randomly. You're just
Nope.
playing for Blade of the Ruin King.
Yep, and
Because
you can
again, people
see
will be
again.
panicking
Yes.
here. AJ, people
Yes.
will be like, "Oh my god!" People will be getting flamed mid gap.
Yeah.
Mid gap.
But in reality, it's actually the reverse. I'm actually so happy that Yasuo's doing this because every second
Yeah.
he's spending not laning against me, it's time I'm getting resources uncontested, right? This is where I'm at the weakest point in the game. Like, imagine if I was casted in here, right? Casted would be so happy with this. It's like the same exact idea. It's like I just want to vacuum up as much mid lane resources, like guaranteed resources as I can. And if you actually look, I'm like almost half a level above the Yasuo, I think. Like I'll hit 8 before he's even close to 8, and I'm like up 10 CS as well. Very happy to be in a spot.
Seems quite difficult to get Qs on against Yasuo.
Yes, it is because he has a lot of mobility. So I'm being very conservative. Like again, you can see I'm not forcing trades. Right? I'm not like going crazy with my trades. Like not trying to min max every single trade. I'm just going for if I have a Q3, I'll go for it. Otherwise, I'll just play a little bit defensive, go for a short trade with my E, and then just play back. Right. Nice thing about this, I have Vamp. Right. So with Vamp, I can heal up now.
All right, 10 CS per minute here. Oh, no, not quite. It's going to hit 9 minutes. Okay, so how much gold do we need? I feel like BotRK takes a while for you to get.
Yes,
So
it's very
when's the
expensive.
ideal? When are you usually getting it? What time in the game?
14 minutes. If you get a 14-minute BotRK, you're on pace. That's a good time to get BotRK.
Oh yeah, so talking about you said that where you sort of cook a little bit with the build
Yeah.
is of the item components that you build for Borg. So you
Yes.
built Vamp Scepter this one here. Sometimes you say you
Yes.
go pickaxe or whatever.
Yes.
Why did you go Vamp this one here?
Yeah, so the reason I want Vamp is that again, he also wins extended trades already. So I don't want to opt into extended trades. If I go recurve or pickaxe, those are better for extended trades. But I don't care. I'm losing those anyway. What I can win though is sustain, right? So if I go Vamp, that will help me with the sustain battle, the war of attrition, which means that over a longer period of time, even if I take a trade where it's slightly worse, I will heal that back up, and he has no healing. So that's why I opted in for Vamp in this game as my first
I
component.
see. Is that why? I just want to go back here. Is that
Yes.
why you were very comfortable not to R on this? Because I feel like everyone would R when they get
Yes.
this low HP. Like, where was it? This trade
Yes.
here. Because
Yeah.
you're playing the War of Attrition game. I think,
Yes.
where is it? It was here. Like, I'll tell you where everyone would R here, AJ. Everyone R's right now. Everyone. Or people will be saying, well, you're bad for not R in this. So
Yeah.
is that, again, the mindset? You don't care. You're actually happy to leave him in lane. You're going to kill this guy 100% if you just sustain up a little bit.
Yes, and again, it goes back to I don't need to be flashy. I don't need to kill. Like again, like I am a very mechanical Yone player, but it's when I have to, not when I want to. If that makes sense. Like people like want to be flashy. I don't care for that. It's like the flashiness is a byproduct of just playing, playing the game, right? Um, so like that's my mindset. Also, Yone R is very unreliable to hit. Like it's very easy to dodge. So in that scenario there, even when he's jammed up against the wall, if he's expecting my R and he has good awareness, if I miss that, I'm just leaving myself in a very vulnerable position.
I see. Yeah. So discipline on R seems very important here
Yes.
as well, especially in the lane phase. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Because again, 99% of people here are here. And I
Yes.
like that mindset. Like, yeah, whatever. I'll make sure I'll find a more high percentage opportunity. And I'll just heal up with Vamp Scepter.
Yes.
This guy's stuffed anyway. He's screwed right now.
That's right.
All right. So you come out of base here. Let's go back to you. So come out of base. A refillable potion. I think you bought that off that base, right? You're happy.
Yes.
You really like refillable potion. Again,
Yeah.
your mindset sustain, right? Sustain,
Yes.
sustain,
That's
and
right.
just survive. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus do you take second win this matchup?
Always second wins. Yes.
Okay. Always second win. Yeah. So yeah, it actually sounds quite difficult to actually prevent you from getting Bork, especially at this stage of the game. If you get
Yes.
refillable second
Exactly.
win, Vam Scepter,
Yes.
there's almost zero counterplay. You're going to get it. So yeah, they're pressured more than you are. Right?
Yes.
You're chilling.
Yes.
This is
Exactly.
making a lot of sense to me.
I'm very happy.
Like looks so annoying. Like they could do good trades on you. You might stuff up with your trades with Yone, but
Yes.
like you're still fine. You have so many
That's
get
right.
out of jail free cards.
And that's my mindset. That's why when you see my trades, I'm going for trades that aren't super long extended trades because I don't want to put myself on a risk to actually like die, right? But if I go for short trades, even if they're bad, it's okay, right? Like I can't die anyway. Like if I only go for short trades. So and that's something that I do in every matchup. You know, it's not just exclusively also every matchup. I'm looking for those just any trade I can where I'm trading health because I'll sustain them.
Love the War of Attrition, AJ. Awesome.
Yep.
Small wins mindset.
Yes.
A lot of Yones would have big wins mindsets,
Yes.
but you're the complete opposite.
That's right.
Yeah, so you are still fighting him. Again, like it's sort of
Yes.
like what people might be seeing is like at the beginning when you said, I just sit back, relax. It's
Yeah.
like, you can't play League that way, especially in Challenger, right? You have to,
Yes.
you can't just sit at your tower.
Yeah, it's not sitting at your tower, but it's more like I guess the mindset is like I don't feel pressured to have to kill him, right? People are
Yes.
very, very happy, like really want kills. That's not my mindset. I don't care about kills. I just want minions, right? I need to trade to Gale to get minions.
That was a cool little thing about your E usage. So you like to just use E to check bushes or scout the jungler?
Yeah, you can use it for wards. Like if I had a ward there, that would have been an amazing spot to use my E for safety for the ward. But yeah, like I know that I don't need to use my E because I got that wave in, right? So my E cooldown is being unused right now anyway. So I might as well use it to scout, and then my E will be back up when this wave comes in. All right. Something interesting, specifically against Yasuo there, is that Yasuo's wind wall blocks projectiles, but your Q actually counts your body as well. So if you Q3, you can Q3 through the wind wall and hit him with the body of your Q of yourself. Like your actual champion can hit them, um, and they can bypass the wind wall. So if you look, he wind walls the projectile portion, but my body hit him.
I see. Okay, so let's talk about this R usage here,
Yep.
AJ. Because I feel like your mindset here might be trying to kill him, right? Like he's still quite healthy.
Yeah, well, very specifically, because I saw Elise in the area, and he has
Yeah,
no
at least.
minions to
Yeah. Yeah.
dash towards, right? So, and I know that I'm not putting myself at risk. I think that's actually the key mindset. That's really important. I'm not putting myself at risk by R'ing there. It's not like I'm gonna die to Yasuo if I miss my R there. That's the important part.
Because your lease is there.
Yes, because my Elise is there.
You wouldn't be going for that R if Elise wasn't there.
Probably not, especially if I didn't know where Talon was as well. I definitely would be way more conservative. Yeah, so I think I actually have a 12-minute Bork. So if you get Bork this fast, like I don't know how many games I've lost, even against pro players, where I get Bork this fast.
So mid game starts when you get your
Yes.
Bork, is your mindset.
Yes, this is where your
Okay.
champion unlocks really
All
hard.
right.
Yes.
All right, so we're now a champion here, AJ. Let's
Yes.
break it down. Let's look at some principles. So obviously towers, you're not side laning just yet, right? You're still stuck
Not
mid,
yet.
right? Towers
Yes.
haven't broken or bot tower hasn't broken.
Yes.
So is it push move? Is it push move? So what are we trying to? What are you thinking about here now?
Yeah, I'm so much more happy to be opportunistic now. So if it looks like a good chance to roam, I will actually start to roam now. But if it doesn't look good, I'll just stay. I'll still stay and keep accelerating myself. Right? I'm not gonna get because this is another issue people have. People get too fussed up over their board. They get bored and they try to just like do everything constantly over and over and over again. Like yes, I'm gonna put up the heat a lot more now, but I'm not gonna like lose out on fundamentals. Like if that roam looks bad, I'm not gonna force it.
Okay, Yasuo is now bot, so we actually are going full mid game here. Jinx is mid.
Yep.
And I assume you don't want to lane against these guys, right? You want to be 1v1. You want to be matching Yasuo this game.
Well, my mindset is that like Jinx and Sona feel really awkward against me right now still as well. So I don't mind staying mid if my Phillies doesn't want to move. But yes, ideally I want to be in the side lane if possible. That's right.
Okay, the classic mid laner and ADC together in mid. Okay, now I guess,
Yep.
Gwen's now bot, so now we're just going top here. Okay, we just adapt.
Yep.
This is just adapting to solo queue,
Just
right?
adapting.
Just adapting to your
Yes.
team.
And something that's interesting is that people really struggle with Akali, right? Like everyone considers Akali a counter matchup to Yone. It kind of is, but once you get Bork, like your champ just unlocks. Like your trade just becomes so insane when you get Bork. So my mindset in the mid game now is I am not going to move unless somebody reacts to me in the side. Because I'm the strongest side laning champion on the map, I will not move to plays unless unless I force somebody to have to defend a turret first and I get first move.
You just kill that guy in the shroud.
Yep.
Clean, AJ. That's very clean.
So if we go back and look at the ability usage like we're talking about, actually I want to show you all the small things here. Like these are all against small things that Yone like people wouldn't see unless I pointed out, right? So we go in for the Q3 face check. Yep, that's fine. Notice how I go for R first and then redirect for the Q3, right? And then I also end the trade with W as well. Those two things is what allowed me to kill her there.
So why did you W here then? You W'd in the actual. You say it's like a finishing move, right? So
Yes.
what was the first W? That was
because I know it's going to be an extended trade, and I'm not in my E, right? So because I know it's going to be a longer trade, I can get 2 Ws off. So if I use my W now, I will be able to get a second W.
Okay. And then you R first, then you Q3.
You see, it's so much easier to land the Q3 because my R actually forces her to go to the left, which allows me to Q3, right? And then I W at the end to extend the range. So there's like almost no other Yone player would kill them there because they would either mess up the W or they wouldn't start with R. They would try to go for the Q3, right? Or they wouldn't weave in that extra W that I got, right? It's like all those, that's what I mean. All those small little invisible things just added up to the game changing a lot, right? Because I got the kill, I forced Talon to match me. It changes the game.
It was very easy for you to not do one of those things, AJ, and that Carly probably wouldn't have died there, right? So this is why you're saying again, why this champion, the skill cap is a 10 out of 10 difficulty, stuff like this that you're talking about.
Yes,
you can have very detailed with your skirmish and your ability usage. Q3 R W.
Yeah. So this part is actually really important as well. Something about dying on split pushers that I found is actually okay to die if it's a good time to die. So what do I mean by that, right? Yes, I died at Talon here. Yes, I could have played it better. Yes, I could have been keeping track of him better, right? But the reality is my team is pressuring the map on mid already. So if I eat pressure from the Talon while Kali's dead, that gives my team space to do things. So if my team wasn't pressuring, no way I would go even remotely in their jungle like that. But I was thinking, like, okay, if Talon comes for me and I die, I can force a 2v1 because I already killed a Kali. Now my team is pressuring mid, they're pressuring bot, Gwen no longer has a field contestant, and like that's how you win games. This is another invisible thing, right? No one would realize how much pressure I'm putting up by forcing this Talon to have to come to me, right? Make a decision between top or mid.
So if your bot lane was
Yes.
here, you wouldn't be going
No,
here.
not at
But
all.
because your team's pushed up, this is what your
Yes.
definition of pressure is. They're pushed
Yes.
up, they're hitting the tower. I want to be,
In the
forcing
area.
people to come to me. So
Yes.
then, even if I die, it doesn't even matter because my team
Yes.
theoretically should get something good.
Yes. That's right. And you see, so I was really close. Like, if I had lethal tempo, I would have killed him. But I have grasp this game, unfortunately.
Do you switch out to blue trinket at all, or you sit on yellow trinket for most of
All
the game?
three of them are viable. It really depends on the game. Since I know I'm going to be pressuring the side a lot this game because Akali and Yasuo can't do anything to me anymore, I like yellow trinket more. But if I know for sure I have to push a move, like let's say they have like an Evelyn or something, I really don't want yellow because I'm not going to be able to play side that easily. So it's another important thing, right? A lot of people would panic and probably group with their team because Drake is about to spawn, right? But again, my mindset is I want to force somebody to lose to me in the side lane before I group, right? I need somebody to come play against me in the side. So if my team dies, I don't care, right? I want to pressure the side because I know I'll win against a Akali.
So traditional like mid lane mages, like if you're a Syndra or something there, you wouldn't be doing this. You'll be
No.
going to that dragon fight, trying to
Yes.
get control the choke first and sort of get the
Yes.
pick. So yeah, this is where the champion identity very much changes
Yes.
for this champion.
Yes.
Okay. For
But
the mid
because there's a
laners.
lot of options, there are some games we do in a group. It's just a lot of people default to grouping. They feel scared, right? People are like, oh man, my team is fighting third Drake. I need a group. No, all I got to do is pressure the side and look at what happened. Look at that entire sequence again. This is all invisible stuff. I force Akali R, so now she can't play the game anymore, right? With no R, right? She also has to invest her TP to defend top, and I get access to first move into mid, so I kill the Jinx. So this entire sequence, like all of the stuff that's happening on the map, is kind of a result of me pressuring the side, knowing my identity at this particular moment.
Yeah, this is where the yellow trinket again. It sort of provides you a lot of
Yes.
safety and allows you to be that split push beast pressure.
Yes.
You can waste a lot of people's time by just backing off if you give people awards.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, I mean, you're styling on this Akali. Like,
Yeah.
people saying that hard matchup. Yeah, it looks fine.
Yep. So that was a little bit of a mistake, but again, same thing, right? Like I eat three people. What's happening mid now, right? My bot's getting a
Yeah.
2v1, and Gwen's getting mid turret. So I'm happy trading my life for a mid tier two, right? And a bot play as well.
Yeah, even though they're killing you, the enemy can't get anything off it. If anything,
Yes.
they're losing off it. Your team's going to be shoving in
Yes.
waves.
And that's
Yeah.
really, really important because it's not about not dying as Yone, right? That's not the point I want to get across, but it's about when do you die, right? Like it's like you need to find that tightrope because you don't want to be like 0-10, right? Like the classic 0-10 power spike, but you also don't want to be like 2-0 and not putting any pressure on the map, right? You need to figure out where that balance is.
I guess a common question that people will say is like, well, this is, in Challenger, people actually use my split push pressure.
Yes.
What would you say to those people where it's like they're pushing up, whatever, but their teammates keep stuffing up their bases and like their junglers have AFK hitting their camps or whatever it
Yeah,
is?
well,
What would you say to
yeah,
that?
well, because it goes both ways. The enemy also doesn't know how to deal, like, is worse at dealing with your split push, right? So probably what I would do is probably roam more then, right? Push and then move, right? Don't go deep in the side. If my team isn't pressuring, help them pressure then, right? Go side lane first, then group and help your team when you're at a power spike, and then rinse and repeat. Go back into the side. It just like it's with any champion league. It's always about adapting to the game you're in, right? What's happening in the game.
Always love getting helped on Herald with as a jungler.
Yep.
Thank you for that, AJ. Getting the quicker I can get Herald, the quicker I can get on the map and do something with that.
Yeah, well, because something that's also really important is efficiency for everyone, right? Like I know I don't want to go to top wave yet. None of those minions are dying, so I can hit the Herald for free. If I was losing minions, I would not go, right? But I'm not losing any minions, and I know it's more efficient for my Elise if I help her as well. So just maximizing my teammates' efficiency, right? Which is again very atypical for a Yone. It's like people think that you got to be this 1v9 machine, but if you look, I'm doing a lot for my team that isn't, but it's not flashy. It's like I'm pressuring the side, forcing people to react to me in the side, eating pressure, getting my team space, helping my Elise with Herald, getting priority in the mid game, right? Like these are all the way. This is how you win games as Yone. This is what it looks like.
Things. I mean, look at your score. People will say,
Yes.
you just got carried this game,
Yes.
AJ. Yeah, it's just carried. But you've actually done a lot to impact and pressure this map.
Yeah, and even with the heavy trading with the Osso, where I at least got like 3 kills from the Osso start of the game, right? That helps snowball the game.
Okay, so we're interested to see how you use TP here. Do you and about this Atakan, right? So, okay, you're sprinting mid now.
Yep.
So we're gonna talk about this deploy. Why not go top?
Yep. So the reason I don't have to go top is that I don't have to respond to the wave yet. So the way mid game works is always about responding to waves, right? I know I don't have to go to top wave yet because it's not at the turret. So until it's at the turret, I don't actually have to go defend. So I'll go mid because mid prio is really, really important in mid game. And then now look, boom, he's pressuring top. Now I have to react to top wave. So now I'll go, right?
Okay. Talon's getting a little bit cocky there. Oh, the Q3 forward there. You're a psychopath, AJ.
That was he had a good EQ flash, and that's where the classic Yone syndrome. Even I can't avoid it sometimes. Where I didn't need to do that, right?
You did not need to do that.
I did not need to do that, but this is where the confidence. I will say this is where the confidence comes into play, though. If he didn't actually do that EQ flash, I would have killed him, right? So like I know my limits that well that like if he didn't play that well, he would have died there for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But as you said, you still didn't need to do that, even though if you could.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And that's why I also picked it because this is realistic. Like I still in a 21-minute game, I did it once, right? But I still did it, and I've been playing Yone for like 5 years, and I'm multi-challenger account, so it's like it happens to everyone. As a Yone main, your job is to again find that balance, find that type of make sure you're not doing taking plays you don't need to for too often. That's how you lose games.
The Yone syndrome. So yeah, so what we just saw there, that's how people lose games.
Yes,
on Yone.
that's what people will be doing, like the entire game.
But multiple times. The entire game, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so again, as you said, AJ, you're just responding to waves. Responding to waves, making sure they're not getting any waves in, pressuring the map.
So something cool about that is that, again, like I said, your body counts. So if you Q3 and then you hold your flash and you press flash at the end, I readjust my body. So now the Q3 hits him with the body of my champion. So that's how I was able to get that Q3 there.
Yeah, really interesting interaction with the whole Yone versus Yasuo wind wall thing.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a push and move instead of you hitting the tier 3 tower, which people are saying, well, isn't that what we're meant to be doing here?
Yep.
AJ, pressuring, who cares if your team dies?
Yep.
Why is this roam good?
So the difference between this one and the other ones is nothing to get top. Like, look at how long it will take before I can actually start pressuring the top turret. So I like to have that mindset until the tier 2s are dead. Once the tier 2s are dead, I'm a lot less excited about pressuring the side now. Like
the tier 3 towers. You don't care about the tier 3 towers as much.
Tier 3.
Okay, it just takes a long time.
Yes.
All right, we got our IE.
Yep.
Get a control ward. Are you still on yellow? Yeah, you're still on yellow trinket. Yes.
Still on yellow. Yep.
So it seems like when you're really far ahead, you'll just sit on yellow the whole game.
That's right. Yes, yellow is very good if you're ahead. Yep. So now I'm at 3 items. I'm much more happy to group now because I just want to end the game now. I'm so strong. We were going to every tier 2 turret on top and bot. I just want to try to end the game now at this point.
Oh wow, this is very interesting. I love the patience here, AJ. Let's probably talk about this. So again, I always think when I do these videos is like, what would the average
Yes.
player do here.
Yes.
Everyone is going in here. Like,
Yes.
I mean, even here, it looks like I have a great flank. Why are you not going
Yep.
right now?
Again,
They're all
because
low.
Yone R's, yep, Yone's R is very hard to land. So what would happen, right? I can already visualize it. I would go ER. If I don't hit literally 2+ people, what will happen is that now I don't have Q3 either, right? So I'm stuck on top of all of them with no mobility left, and they can all just burst me. And even if I E back, now I've just lost half my HP and I have no R. So it's like now I just lost literally 2 minutes of being able to pressure because I tried to go for an R that's unreliable to land.
Very interesting. Yeah, this is really high level stuff. Yeah, AJ, love
Yes.
to see it. And as we'll probably see here, there probably will be more opportunities here now that you
Yes.
didn't go in. Again, using it as mobility.
Yes. For the
But
Q3.
unfortunately, Sona... Did this guy die? Oh,
Almost. And that's why you want to use the R for the mobility, right? The Q3 auto, plus the autos is where the damage comes from. And
yeah. I
because I
mean, if
held that
Sona
R,
didn't
right?
get
That's
ult...
why she died.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, if Sona didn't ult you there, that would have been a very quick clean kill, right? So
Yep.
even if you missed the R, so yeah, your R just actually does negative damage.
Yep.
I would say a lot of people say they struggle to close out games because
Yes.
you are a melee champion, and siege in the base as melee champion is a little bit difficult. Is your mindset more so to like, again, just be
Baron.
pressuring them, sort of force them to come out and Baron and brute force a Baron like a
Yes.
flank fight? Like you need to like create a situation where they come on them out onto the
Yes.
map.
So
You're just gonna suck siege in.
yep. So the only thing this VOD doesn't have that I really wanted to talk about is how you set up neutrals, right? With Yone, like you love neutrals because you can stack up your Q3. So like what you can do is stack up your Q3 and then turn from Fog of War with your Q3 because you have your Q3 stacked. So in terms of closing out games, that's my mindset. It's like, okay, pressure, get the tier twos. Once I'm really fed, play for Fog of War, like I did on that bot play, or play for neutrals and stack my Q3 off the neutrals and turn. Those are how you end the game. End the game as
I
Yasuo,
say.
as Yone.
So it's like once these are dead or
Yes.
completed, you're not ever hitting siege in these.
No.
Your mindset
No.
is fight around the
Yes.
objectives, stack up the neutral objectives, stack up your Q3, and then win the fights. That's how you do it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
So it's a very clean plan. I like it. I like your
Yes.
plan here, AJ. This is very, very good. Very practical stuff. Okay, and this game's going to sort of end pretty soon here. You got Baron. Again, you're not grouping with your team. Obviously, just pushing, shoving waves in.
Yeah.
And then now we'll push and move. And then, yeah, I mean, they're just too far behind at this point, right? Yeah, bam. All right, really good example. Again, score doesn't look that fancy here.
Nope.
AJ, I mean, your
Yeah.
CS does look pretty fancy, I will admit, but
Yeah.
a really good example about breaking down some narratives around
Yes.
Yone. Okay, let's jump into another VOD here, AJ,
Yep.
of yours.
Yep.
Okay, second VOD here, AJ. From the melee matchup, we're now moving to a mage. This is probably going to be more classic. Mid lanes,
Yes.
more mages. Wait, what's sort of your view on Yone versus these mages? Like, what's sort of your mindset?
Yep. So your job is to, I mean, it's going to be similar to the melee matchup, but just even more difficult. It's to get to Bork because he can't win side lane against you with Bork, right? So it's kind of similar. Just the way you're going to approach that is differently because mages love when you get pushed in. Like when Yone gets under turret, that's when mages thrive.
Yes.
So what I'm going to be doing is preventing him from pushing me in. So we're going to notice this, again, a lot of small invisible stuff. Almost no Yone does this. Watch what I do level 1, right? Most Yones would probably either stack the Q3 off Raptors or play back, right? Look at what I do. I walk up and start queuing the wave. This is very unintuitive. But the reason why I'm doing this is this allows me, number one, to get that beautiful Raptor ward that I wanted, that we were talking about in the last VOD. But also, this prevents me from getting stuck under turret because that's where you start to lose lane as Yone is when you get stuck under turret. So again, war of attrition. I'm okay taking damage with D-Shield and Second Wind. I want to make sure I get the wave in or in a neutral spot. And that way I don't get harassed under turret. And I'm able to get way more creeps like this as well.
Very interesting. You're prevented getting that stuck under tower. You're just
Yes.
getting poked and stuck on the tower. Okay.
Yes.
Well, people will be saying, "Wow, you're taking a lot of damage
Yes.
here." So, I mean, obviously there has to be like a limit to what you can take, right?
Yeah, there definitely is a limit. And again, the thing is about D-Shield Second Wind, it heals you more the less health you have. So I'm actually a lot healthier than it looks right now still, right? Because the
Okay.
D-Shield Second Wind's putting in a lot of work. Like, if you actually look, like I did take a lot of damage, but all of a sudden I'm like half, or more than half. I'm chilling. And I got both waves in. I'm 11 CS. Most Yone is by this. And I saw where their jungler is now. So again, I gave my team full information on where their jungler is. Again, all invisible stuff, right? A lot of information now on where the jungler is. I have 11 CS out of the first 2 waves. That's very good. I'm still decently healthy, right?
And I guess you always have TP as well to bail you out as
Yes,
well, right?
and I
So,
got my pot.
yeah, again, it's just so, it seems so, the way you play, it's just a nightmare to play against because you're going
Yes,
to get your Bork and there's not much
yes,
people can do about it. Like, even
yep,
in these matchups, where again, I would think
yes,
that you should be getting hard bullied these range matchups.
that's right.
Love it. Yeah, so this mindset is very clear. It's making a lot of sense when you're here, AJ. This is really good.
Again, the way I win games, make my team's life as easy as possible. I know Viego's bot now, right, because of that ward. So that ward now, all of a sudden, everyone knows where Viego is. That helps my team so much.
Okay, so this is where, yeah, you guess you're
Yep,
going to be a little bit, no, yeah, again, your wave's basically neutral here, so this is still fine, right?
yep. And you notice I actually step to the right. If you go back, I actually step to the right so it doesn't crash into turret. Here, notice I actually click. I intentionally click to the right here instead of clicking to my turret to pull the wave out
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So Hui's a very hard lane, but I'm actually even CS. So this is insane because Hui, as a mage, needs to win lane against Yone, right? He needs to get a CS lead.
So this is another example where your Q3, you're just using it as threat to get
Yes.
access to minions. You have no interest of
No
actually Q3ing
interest.
onto
No.
this.
I just want to get as many minions as I can.
Okay, I'm really interested to see with this wave state here now. Your
Yep.
jungler is here, so yeah, I like what your jungler's doing. He needs to help you on this wave. This is chaos right now.
Yeah, a little bit, but I do know the wave is kind of coming back in. And something I do very intentionally is I sit inside the wave so they AoE it. So I think what you'll see me do is I'm very purposely going to tank this. And now look, it pushes the wave back into me now. Because I
So
know,
Wei uses abilities, right?
yes,
And then the wave comes back into you.
yes.
Okay.
And again, I have D shield second wind, right? I have nothing to be worried about. That's a totally okay trade. Now the wave will come back out. I can use my E to farm these minions. The wave will eventually come back out to the middle, which it does. And I'm okay now. I haven't even used my pot yet, right?
Yeah, you're so confident. You know you're so
Yeah,
confident in your HP. Like everyone's popping their HP like 10,
yes.
15, 20 seconds ago there, AJ. Yeah, this sustain is obnoxious. I'm sort of scared about this releasing this video here, AJ. Right? It's gonna like nerf like second wind or like Doran shield, dude. This is broken.
And that's also the short trade there, the EQW, E back. Play that War of Attrition, burn his HP, burn his mana.
Okay, and so what are you looking to do here? You do have enough gold for your
I want to
items.
punish him for basing before me.
Okay. There's no way you can get this wave in. Oh, you are the wave. Okay, I was going to say, that makes sense. Clean. Yep, so you're just after the wave there. That's sort of a fundamental thing, right? You're trying to punch him ETPs, so...
Yeah. It's a little bit Yone specific because I know, again, I'm not trying to solo kill my opponent, right? R is really weak early game as Yone because you just don't do any, like, it gets a mobility spell. So it's like, why do I need my mobility if I can't kill them anyway, right? So I was using my R to get an extra wave that I'm not allowed to get. And now if you look, I'm actually up 4 CS in a hard laning matchup, right? A matchup that should be hard to lane against. I'm up 4 farm.
Yep, so to again survive to your Bork and you just use your R for wave clear and just...
Yes. The
That's what
first
you'll
R
be literally using it
specifically.
for. The first
Yes.
R specifically, yeah. Yeah, it's really good to see how you navigate this matchup, yeah, compared to the melee, the Yasuo. Okay, so I guess this is sort of the stage of the game where, yeah, I mean, it's just, as you said, Operation Blade of the Ruined King. It'll be interesting to see what timer you get it here, but you just want people to be very comfortable from this 6 minutes to, 12 minutes, 14 minutes. So just relax, farm,
Yes.
farm, farm. Don't do crazy roams.
Yes.
Just relax.
That's just relax. And
People get anxious at this stage of the
yeah,
game. They'll do something. They'll force something, do some crazy roam, right? 100%.
yes, that's right. And again, a lot of it stems from, I mean, of course, a lot of mastery, but confidence. It's like I know that I will carry a game with Bork. I just it doesn't. Nothing else matters to me. I don't care about anything else. Like I've literally played games where I was like 0-5, but I farmed 10 CS per minute, got Bork, and carried the game after I got Bork. Like I just had that much confidence. If I could get to Bork at 14 minutes, the game is super easy to play.
And this, again, majors in particular in this game that we're going to be looking at is Hawaii cannot even survive you in the side lane,
No,
especially when you get 2-3 items.
impossible.
So
Yes,
it doesn't matter. You will win the game. You always have a win condition, I guess, as Yone
yes,
in this game.
that's right.
So if you're reviewing this from Hawaii's perspective,
Hmm.
what would you be saying?
Well, yeah, so he can definitely punish a lot harder. Like I played against pro players in this matchup, and it's a lot harder for me to do what I'm doing. The key is utilizing auto attacks because D shield second win. What does that attack your mana? But guess what's free? Your auto attacks, right? So a lot of better ways I play against I think I played Jojo Pion, right? Who's one of the best laners in the West. He would really be up in my face auto attacking me a lot from level 1 because if he attacks me a lot level 1, he still has tons of mana to poke me, and then I won't be able to sustain up. So like if I was reviewing from the Hui's perspective, that's what he really lacked. He didn't position it aggressively enough level 1 to stop me from pushing the wave, right? Because if I can prevent the wave from crashing under turret, the lane is based in my mind in a challenger game, the lane's lost already for the mage. The second I'm able to push the wave level 1 like that, so he needs to
Yep.
stop that with auto attacks and playing aggressive from level 1.
Fascinating. Yeah, okay. Okay, so talking to me about, again, I always want to ask the question about
Yep.
your build or path order for
Yes.
Blade of the Ruined King. Why Vamp Scepter over the other components of this game?
Yep, it's similar to the other ones. Again, I'm playing that War Witcher style against Hui. I know I can't. It's hard for me to stick onto him because he has that fear and he has the movement speed from his W and he has the slow from his R. So because I know I can't really stick onto him. I'd rather just have sustain, and then I can take whatever kind of trade I want. It doesn't really matter anymore, and I can just sustain back.
So, yeah, I mean, you talk about you're pretty much always playing every game sort of with this mindset. When
Yes.
would you ever build Recurve or Pickaxe
Yes.
then?
So if against like a Silas or something where I know that he's gonna want to take extended trades and I need the extra oomph against extended trades or a champion that can match my sustain, then I'll go something more extended trades. So against a Vlad, I think Recurve Bow is better. Against Silas, Recurve Bow is better. Against a Kali, Pickaxe is better for the short trades. So it's like very specific matchups where you can't realistically out sustain them, or you can't prevent them from heavy trading onto you.
Okay, I want to look at this frame right here, AJ.
Yes.
Again, the perspective of
Yes.
most Yone players would roam to this. Oh my god, teams fighting. I have
Yep.
ult and flash. Kills, kills, kills. Why do you not
Yep.
roam to this, AJ? People are going to be confused.
Yeah, so Yone's strength is his wave clear, right? So again, I want to have the mindset, force this way to have to make a decision. Drop a wave or fight with his team, right? That's my advantage as a champion. He has a better laning phase. He has a better skirt 4v4, right? His champ is objectively his point in the game much better at 4v4. So I don't want to allow that. Make a decision. Does he want a 4v3 bot and lose an entire wave and the play doesn't work? He's screwed. Or does he want to go back to, or does he want to go defend mid? And now look, I have a move timer, right? I can move for free now into the river.
And this should never happen in a major matchup with
No,
Yone,
he
especially
should have been on
pre-Bork,
the
right?
wave.
This is illegal.
Yes, because
Yes.
he did the mistake other like Yone players would do, where he moved too deep, right? And so yeah, I'm playing off my Fiddle R. So very specifically, the reason why I go for this is because Fiddle is a very strong champion. So even though my champ is not great at roaming, it looked decent with the Fiddle. Unfortunately, I think Nautilus got stuck on the minion, so we couldn't get the kill there.
All right, so now Huawei has a chest turn over you now,
And
unfortunately.
yeah, he has a little bit of the reason why I went for this got so much priority, right? If you actually look, I only lost one minion for that roam.
Yeah, I
That's
see.
nothing,
Okay.
right? That's why I went for this.
So
That's so much prio.
yeah, but the difference with this one, the one before that Rome, is that you had a what was it here? Yeah, there's a fresh wave coming here, so you
Yes,
didn't have
he had
time.
prio
You know,
over me.
yeah,
Yes,
that's right. Okay. Yeah, so use your refillable potions. Yeah, refillable potion plus Vamp Scepter plus second
Yeah.
wind. That's your key to success to sustaining for Blood of the Ruined King. It's like a beautiful cocktail combination.
Yeah, like even a trade that bad, I lost 40%. I'm not even that worried about dying. Like I know I'm not gonna die because again, I have so much sustain. Like I'm getting hit by a lot of skill shots. Like I could even do a better job at dodging these skill shots, right? But it's just like I I'm fine. I'm totally chilling right now.
I think Nautilus knows you probably don't want to fight here.
Yep, just play to minimize.
Yeah, I mean, he did relieve pressure on you, right, to allow you to get that
Yep,
wave, so that's okay.
something small,
Interesting,
creative that I did.
just
Q through the rafter to get life steal from my Vamp Scepter.
cool. How much did you heal off that, by the way?
I
I'm very
think about
curious.
60 or like 30 or something. Oh, I
30, yeah.
yeah, something like that.
But you're saying again, all these little things just add up.
Yes, it adds up. Yes. And like even though he has lost chapter and is a champ that gets mana back from his W, he actually ran out of mana in this lane.
Yeah, again, showing just how hard you are to kill. Like, always
Yes.
pumping everything and has lost chapter and, it's still running out of mana.
Yeah.
And you're not even dead. You're back to your half HP again.
Yeah, exactly.
You're half HP again. It's really frustrating to play against. Yeah. Poor Hawaii. Okay, is that Bork gold?
Nope, that's not. So the
How much
reality
do you
is
need?
you need 2050 right now. So I'll have to go for another base at some point. And again, what I want to highlight, I'm not doing anything too fancy, right? I'm not like trying to like outplay this way, go for random like big ults, trying to like solo kill. No, that's not at all what I'm trying to do. If the opportunity presents itself when you miss positions, then sure, but I'm not forcing it.
Yep. And you're also just, again, not roaming off that wave,
Nope.
whatever, just chilling, just Operation Bork.
Yep.
All right, well, let's sort of skip over this then, and let's go to when you actually get your Bork, and then start on the map. As you say, your mid game starts then. So yeah, they are. Hawaii's doing a very good job here. They're still trying to get you quite low. Okay, there's the Bork. Okay,
Yep. The Bork.
here we go. So you basically just sat mid, survived,
Yep.
got Bork. All right, mid game. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. So again, it might not be too much action right when I get Bork, just because again, I'm not forcing stuff though. I'm waiting for an opportunity to present itself. I'm much more willing to roam. But if it doesn't, there's no good chance to roam. I'm not going to do it, right? Like I'm not gonna be like again too excited. That's the important part. It's like it's still I'm gonna be making sure this Hui is trapped in lane, right? Making sure he can't roam into plays. I'm not over roaming unless the play looks good, and other than that, I'm just gonna keep scaling, right? I just need to get to the side lane eventually.
And you say that you have more kill pressure and threat in the side
Yes.
lane compared to mid. Is that because you're very good at chasing people down in the side lanes longer? It's very easy.
Yeah.
It's much easier to kill them in the side
Yeah,
lane
yeah,
compared to mid lane.
that's right. That is a much longer lane. That's right.
Now that I'm thinking about, I want to get your thoughts on this, AJ,
Yeah.
about mid versus top Yone. You say
Yep.
your champ identity is to like get Blader and King. Part of me
Yes.
feels like it makes more sense for Yone to be a mid laner because you're going to be safer. It's actually going to be easier for you to get. I feel like your Bork as a mid lane. Maybe again you could argue, well, some of these mages matchups. Again, you have a strategy against them still, right? So you can
Yeah.
survive them. Get Bork, and then will you come online and play in the side lane in the mid game? But I feel like top, it's much harder to get Bork because there's just more chaos. Like you're getting dove by at least. Like your way is like a top Yone is way easier for me to kill. I'm a Rek'Sai player.
Yeah.
Super easy. Mid, actually not that. You're way safer. What do you
Yeah.
think about this? About the top versus
No,
mid?
yeah.
It's easier to get Bork.
I would agree, but I would say the trade off is that you can actually lane against melee champions and top a lot easier. Like for example, like Yone. If I play Yone against Camille, that's a much easier early few levels than Yone versus Hui, for example. So like the trade off for top is that Yone's identity is a bit different in top because you can actually win early game skirmishes, like early game laning against top lane champions, right? Like play against Mundo, that's a winning lane, right? Play against like some other tank top. So it's like In some regards, yes, it's safer in mid. In other regards, as top, you could actually like accelerate yourself though in top, right? Because like you'd have a winning matchup in top where you're just demolishing them.
What about playing with like Renekton's and Darius's and
Um, those can be difficult as well, but they're all. The thing is with Yone, because he's such a high skill cap, all of those matchups are outplayable. Like I played against some really good top lane players, or like 1200 LP. Like Yone versus Fiora is a really hard matchup, and I've like solo killed them before. So it's like Yone, just because he has such a high skill cap, like even the hard lanes in top are definitely still playable for sure.
Okay, let's look at some fighting now here. Let's look
Yep.
at some of these fights now because we can play the Ruined King. So let's go
Yes.
back to those two fights. All right, so we have Altia. You know, we're still, you know, chilling, sort of waiting to get in the side lane. Okay. Let's sort of look at training patterns here. So you E, bam. You're looking to just do the short one here. Oh, no, you're doing the long one?
Because I have BotRK, right? So I want to go for extended
I
trades now.
see. Okay, now it's extended trades time. Wow, he just obliterated
And,
me
and
there.
and it's okay because I know I can never die to him. So him ulting me now, he has no ult anymore, and I'm safe.
And you
Right?
have ult.
I'm gonna
Okay, so
I'm
you're
gonna
happy
heal
with
up.
this.
Yeah, I'm totally okay. He'll get a little bit of prio for one wave. That's okay, but I'll just heal up now.
Okay, so that's that fight. Then you recall, and then now we come down here. We TP to this.
Yep. Again, I'm happy with good quality fights, so I'm gonna TP to good quality fights. But notice that every fight I TP to, there's always access to a wave somewhere. So like here I TP, but now I can just go bot. The second that the play's done, I'm not losing anything, right? I can just go get the bot wave.
So it's going to be interesting for me to see here. I wonder if they throw set with you. Like,
Mhm.
always, like, okay, guys, can set please match the Yone? Do you care whether it's set or Hue?
No, because I'm broke now. He can't win anymore. Like, if this was earlier in the game, and for whatever reason I had to go side and set match me, no, I wouldn't win. But with Bork, I'm totally happy. So again, this is a game where it's like they can't really touch me at all. This game.
That's a wave clear R. Do
Yeah.
you want to talk to me about that?
Yep. Because we
Because
just
we're
took
past
Drake.
the mid game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just took Drake. I have no R, or sorry, I have no flash. I have no TP. So I don't want to be team fighting right now anyway. Because I want to ideally use my TP to get to a fight, like force set to be defending, and then I TP. But because my TP isn't available and I don't have flash, and we just took Drake, like I know I just want to stack Drake, so I'm just using my R for wave clear for priority for tempo, and I can just keep pressuring the side because that's my mindset right now. I don't need my
Yeah,
R
so
for the
people
side.
will say, well, don't you want to save it for killing people? The set there?
Yeah, well, again, R is not really meant for damage; it's only for mobility. Guess what? Against set, you don't need mobility, so I don't need my R for him.
Okay, you don't need R to kill him. Yep, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So notice there, look at how fast I am to go back to top. Right, I panned my
Yeah,
camera.
that was fast.
I saw that there was a play. I immediately click top the second the plays. I know the play's over. Right. Same thing here, even actually. Right. I don't even bother going mid. I just recall and go to top, fix the top wave.
There's no inefficiencies. You're not
Yep.
wasting time. 190 farm, 18 minutes, 30 seconds, the AJ.
Yep.
Beautiful. And again, I guess it's not even really about the CS and the farm. It's about pressure in the map. It seems like the
Yes.
farm's sort of just a
It's a
byproduct. You know,
Yes. That's
you're
right.
gonna have it's you know it's not even that. It's like you because people will be saying AJ's playing for farm, and it's like no,
Yeah.
you're playing to pressure
Yes. And
the
that's what I
map.
mean. It's invisible stuff. It's like none of this is shown in a highlight reel of Yone, right? None of it. When you play
This
against
is the
Yone,
most
you don't
boring
feel any of
game.
this. Yes. But the reason why I picked this is because I could just pull like 20 of my VODs of my Twitch VOD where I'm outplaying people, mechanics maxing. But like reality is everyone knows that about Yone already. I don't need to teach that. That's something you have to develop no matter what as a Yone. To have good fighting, know how to outplay your way out of situations. Like that is a given. You can never win a game with Yone unless you know how to do that. But this is how, but what we're talking about here, this is how you actually get good at Yone. This is how you get results. This is how you get success with Yone. This is what takes people who go from playing Yone for 50 games and dropping him because he's too hard to actually getting long-term success and winning games. That's what I'm trying to show with this.
I guess against a good mage player in the sideline here, AJ, they're probably going to be pretty safe at just clearing waves because they know that you can easily kill them, right? So they're sort of stuck.
Yeah,
But again, this is your advantage. Like, you don't care if he never walks up and you don't kill him. You
yeah,
can just keep shoving him in
yeah. Because
and the
think
pressure
about
that you put out.
yeah, exactly. Think about as a mage how bad it feels to be stuck under your tier two as on top side. Well, how are you going to play the game? You can't team fight if you're stuck under your top turret, right? So what's happening is again, this is all invisible stuff pressure. Now I'm guess what? Because he has to respond to this top wave, I am now look where I am. I'm almost ready to team fight while he's still stuck top with my item spent. That is why Yone is a good champion in mid game. It's this. It's not about killing people. It's not about one-shotting the way in the sideline. It's about using my tempo and my priority from pushing top and forcing him to respond to now be first at this play. Look at where Hui is. He's still defending top. I'm already here with 2 items.
Hmm.
And that's just like look how easy that was. That's the freest autocon ever. And like a lot of that was my setup, right? Like sure, my team is doing well. Yes, they set it up as well. But a lot of that is because Hui has no option, right? I didn't give Hui an option to win the game here.
Yeah, I mean, it looks very easy, but doing these things in the game and not getting
Yes.
distracted and playing your champ identity, that's another whole different
Yes.
story.
That's right.
Charging up your Q3 on the wave.
You notice again,
And that's
R
another example,
first, and then
starting with
Q3.
R, not Q3. Yes. Yeah, I think that's going to help a lot of people, AJ Yone players, because I could say they always would start with Q3 and then save out. Well, because that actually is intuitive for a lot of champions. Actually, what I teach you, you save your gap closer a lot of the time.
But people don't view
you
as
know?
R as a gap closer. That's the problem.
That's right.
And yeah, like once you're this strong, again, I TP there to defend and and put pressure, right? So that's putting pressure, right? I don't want to let somebody who's weaker than me on the side put pressure on the side, right? Punish this guy for putting pressure on the side. He's not allowed to do that. So that's why I TP bot.
Yeah. So you're like, anyone who's pushing side lanes, that's illegal activity.
Yes.
That should not be happening.
Yes, that's right. I am the one that's allowed to get pressure on the side. They aren't. Yep, this is I think a great example. A lot of people would go mid. Like I think 99% of people would have pushed that top wave and went mid here. Again, 0 objectives up. No one is reacting to me in the side. So why the hell would I go group right now? They're not playing they're not playing the game how it should be played against Yone, right? They should be forced out to defend against me. If they're not defending against me, then I'll take their base.
Again, you don't care if your team dies because
No,
they can't
no
take Baron,
objectives.
they can't take
Yep.
Attic, there's no objective. So that's a good
Yes.
principle. Be more confident to let your team die and just let them do
Yes.
whatever weird fights when there's no objectives and keep
Yes.
pressure and get these tier 2s.
Yep. And so if you look at my farm, I think I'm like 12 CS per minute, but it's not because like I'm not trying to be 12 CS per minute, right? I'm just punishing their mistakes with pressure. That's what it really is. And so now at 25 minutes in the game, I have 3 items, right? Again, I didn't do any fancy like crazy 3v1 outplay in this particular game. I didn't like solo kill my opponent 6 times. And in reality, I'm actually have more items than somebody who would be playing like that, even if they got 10 kills, right? Because I got a tier
That's
2
right,
top.
you would.
I have 12
Literally.
CS per minute, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's that, and you got the Atacon, and you got the tier 2.
Yes.
You know, you did both. You could do both. That's why this style is just way more consistent.
Yes.
You're gonna have actually results with this style rather than, I have 10 kills, but like the map, like every tower's still alive. I've lost a
Yes.
bunch of objectives because when I died was just low impact.
That's right. All right, so this is the same thing, right? 0 hesitation. No one's responding to me in the side. Okay, cool. I'll push bot. That's a 4v4. That's their 4v4. My job is not to help my team win a 4v4, right? If they want to, if they win it, they win it. If they lose it, they lose it. That's not on me. That's not my job.
Always take jungle camps in between waves.
Yep.
All right, there you go. So you're just ticking off the boxes. It's like a little
Yep.
checklist. AJ, got that tower?
Yep.
Now I've got that tower.
And same thing with the pressure, right? Notice how now I defended the mid turret as well. First I defended the bot turret with my TP. Now I'm defending this turret. So how many like objectives have I denied from them as well by doing this? They had no way to get into the game.
Yeah, all these mid-game TPs have just been in like defense of towers. There's been no crazy TP flanks or fighting at
Yep.
all. Okay, so now you're grouping here. So this is
Yes.
where you said when you're 3 items
Again,
here, you know,
turrets side T2s are dead. I'm 3 items,
they're
right?
done. So now you're
How do
looking
I
to
end the
fight the
game?
neutrals. This
Right?
is how you end the game.
Yes.
Okay.
So you look, because I'm 3 items, like this guy's just dead, right? If I was even a little bit weaker, we'd probably still be alive there. Maybe we couldn't go Baron. So it adds up. Yone is really good at turning on Baron, right? Probably one of the best champs in the game at turning with Baron.
Yeah, I mean, you have 2 war hops, right? So,
Yeah.
and you have the safety of your E. Yeah, your E's broken on Baron.
Yep.
Yone hates plays against Yone.
Q3 and E with your with it was really really good on Baron.
All right, then they surrender here.
Yeah, and the
And
game's
there's your
over.
Bloodthirster. And
And
there's
there's
your
my VT.
Bloodthirster. All right, AJ, great stuff. Any final comments you want to talk about these VODs or, you know, summarizing these VODs?
No, I think again, I got the point across. Just to reiterate, for those of you who are tuning in just at the end here, it, it's not about all the crazy mechanics, right? Again, I have tons of odds of that. You can find tons of odds of me doing that. If you want to learn those things, I have a lot of resources. But what I'm trying to get across again is this is how to win games. It's the consistency. It's the playing for the objectives. It's not dying, pressure vacuum, sustaining in lane, getting to your Bork, right? That's how you actually win games. And then having good mechanics, that's just the cherry on top. Like those will help you win closer games or closer fights, right? But this is how you actually win the majority of your games. And this is how you get consistency on Yone.
All right, AJ, let's now talk about our lane matchup tier list.
Yep.
So we've got 4 categories here. Very hard, skill, easy.
Yep.
We're going to be purely looking at it from just a lane, just matchup,
Yep.
you know, the pre-Bork, you know, the first couple levels. So let's start off with very hard. What do you not like to see locked in from the enemy's team?
Yep, so it's champions that both win lane against you and can win in the side lane once you have Bork. So those would be a lot of the traditional ADC mids. I think Lucian, Smolder, Corki for laning phase, Jace. I would say those 4 champs are probably the absolute hardest matchups for Yone, and Rise. Those are probably the hardest matchups. Like there's very little, like even if you, it's very hard to outplay these champions because they have auto attacks. Like the damage comes from auto attacks, and a lot of these can beat you in the side lane as well. So you don't really have a window to win. So like these, I would say, are like the hardest matchups. I'd be very careful picking Yone against these types of matchups.
Am I blind? Where's Corky?
Corky is he's right next to Yone actually on your thing. Your cursor is over it, I think.
Oh my god, I'm blind. Okay, yep. Okay, so that's it. That's the very hard. Again, mindset is that these champs are good inside and also will beat you in lane.
Yep, there's probably a few other ones that we'll when I get to them, I'll talk about. I'm probably forgetting some, but yeah, that's like at a high level, those are the very hard matchups.
Okay, so in terms of hard, are these the champions that are harder to hit? Your like the very mobile champs? Like, is this the Akalis, the Yasuos?
These are the matchups where you need to be very confident on Yone to win these. Yeah, Kiana is a great one. LeBlanc, yes. Zed.
Zed, yeah.
Pantheon.
Is Ari fit that category?
No, not Ari. We'll talk about Ari in a sec. Pantheon, he's bottom right.
What about a champ like Lissandra?
No, that one's more of a skill.
Skill, okay.
Yeah.
What are the mobile assassins? Neferi? Is Neferi still?
No, Neferi is not
many Neferis
because you kill the dogs really easily. Zoe is probably very hard as well, or hard. I'd say very hard for Zoe. We're talking about purely
Talia.
No, Talia is easy.
Easy, okay. All right, well, let's sort of just go through them now here. All right, so Ari. So where does Ari go?
So Ari would probably go in, I would say I'm thinking about for the average player, right? I think skill is a good spot for Ari. So Ari has a lot of mobility and she has tools against Yone's kit. So it makes sense why like she might be very hard. Thing is, Ari has very low early game base damage. So you guys saw those 2 VODs, the sustain. Now imagine instead of Hui, it's Ari who does like 40% less damage as Hui early game. I have never died in lane, right? So that's why Ari is more of a skill matchup because yes, she does have a lot of tools that counters with kit, but you get to your Bork pretty much scot-free in this matchup.
Echo.
Echo is probably skill as well. Echo on like Akali and Yasuo is Echo really struggles at avoiding your damage once he goes in, because once he goes in with EQ, you chase with your E. And his burst isn't actually as high as other champions early game, so I think he's not too difficult. He's more of a skill matchup. It's about avoiding those W's and those Qs.
Silas.
Silas, again, for the average player, I would say is probably in the hard. It is technically like, I think if you're a challenger player, it's easy because you stat check him. But Silas has a lot of hard things that are annoying to deal with, right? Like I talked about, you can't actually war of attrition against Silas because of his W, right? So that entire aspect is completely gone. You've got to learn how to play against him by trading, right? And so you got to learn his trading patterns and stuff like that. So I think he's probably hard.
Cassidy.
Easy.
Easy, yeah. Katarina.
Cat is easy as well. Very weak early game. Galio is easy as well. Tanks are very bad against Yone. Rora is skill. Her first 6 levels are brutal. After first base, it's very easy. So I would say that average would make it a skill matchup.
Diana.
I would say skill. It's similar to Silas, just a little bit easier, I think.
Azir.
Azir, again, for the average person, I would say is very easy. I'd put it in easy.
Nico mid lane.
Skill is similar to Aurora. I'd put it right next to Aurora.
Victor, probably a pretty popular matchup. You probably played against a lot.
I would say that's skill. It's again, it's similar to Aurora. Early levels hard. After you get your first base, you're fine.
Can really bully you and stuff. Would Hui also be similar there with the skill?
Yeah, I would put Hui on hard, honestly. I think Hui is probably, out of all the mages, probably the most annoying one to deal with. Because he has really high damage early game, and he does have mana issues.
I see. Okay. But Victor does have some mana issues.
Yes.
Okay. If I look at some other mages, I'm just trying to think. Is Syndra on this list?
Syndra would be very hard. Syndra is the hardest mage to play against.
Hard. I think Syndra. I think I made this tier list with Syndra, but okay.
You're missing her. She's there.
She's gone.
Oh,
there it is. There it is. Okay. Very hard.
Yes, I would say this is the hardest. Like, for the average person, this will be the hardest matchup in the game, because Syndra unfortunately has no mana issues because of her passive. So this matchup is very hard for average Yone.
Oriana should be hard as well, right?
Yeah, I would say Ori is probably in hard. Yeah, she's similar to Hui. Very high damage early game.
Karma mid lane, probably not as PQC as much.
Yeah, it is pretty hard. I would say it's quite difficult. I'll put it in hard. It's hard to sustain against her.
You talked about Akshan and like holding hard. Q3 and threading. Okay, that's a very hard.
That's still a hard one. It's like ADC mid.
Tristana.
Triss is interesting because you actually can start beating her later. Just the early levels are hard, so I would put her in probably skill. She's not as bad to deal with. Xerath is very easy.
Very easy.
Mel is very easy.
Yeah.
Ziggs,
I assume. Easy. Aurelia.
For the average person, I think Aurelia is going to go in very hard, because you need to use your E to dodge her E, and you need to be careful for stat checking you. And she has a very similar spike, right? Bork spike. So, yeah.
Vega.
Easy. Very easy.
Easy. Twisted Fate's an interesting one.
The landing is easy for Twisted Fate, but the out of lane is hard. So, given this is a lane-oriented one, it's probably easy.
And Nivea?
Easy as well. They're very easy to dodge skill shot.
Vex is good against melee champs, right?
It's actually
counter engage.
It's kind of fake good against Yone, because she just doesn't do enough damage. You're gonna war of attrition her in lane. It's a problem with Vex. So I think I'd put her in skill. I don't think she's too bad if you play the war of attrition well.
It's sort of like the same with Ari, right? It just doesn't have enough damage type thing. Yeah,
that's right. Vlad is very hard for the average person. As again, you're seeing a trend.
Is that because
you can't play war of attrition? Yeah. You're noticing all the champs at the top. It's very hard for the average player to play war of attrition against these guys.
Swain?
Very easy. Very, very easy matchup.
Annie's
interesting.
Should be easy as well, right?
Annie's interesting.
Sustain. Okay.
I would say Annie is probably at the bottom, like, not easy, but not hard. So probably at the bottom of skill. It's on the easier end, but she still has some stuff she can do.
Fizz? Hard to hit with Qs?
Yeah, but Fizz is just kind of weak. I think if Fizz was a better champ, I'd put him higher. But I think, like, Right now, you just kind of stat check him, so I'd probably just put it in skill. I think in a world where Fizz gets buffed, it might be harder, but for now, it's quite easy.
Aurelion Sol, I
Uh,
would assume
this
easy.
is probably the easiest, like one of the easiest mid matchups in the entire game for like any two champions. Very easy.
Brand maybe more popular in lower ranks,
Yeah, I
like
think
for
it's like
GM
this one
playing
is
more.
actually probably more in skill or hard because Brand has no mana
Wow.
issues as well. He
Okay.
has almost no mana issues, and his skill shots are very hard to dodge, right? Because E spreads by default. So I would actually probably put him in hard, honestly,
Wow.
for the average Yone player.
Cassiopeia. I'm
That
sure you
one's
talked a
quite
lot
hard.
about this with Curtis,
Yeah,
right? Curtis played a lot of
yeah.
Cassiopeia.
Again, I
Shock,
would
I
say this one
guess.
is quite hard for the average player, so I'd probably put it in hard.
Kale, I imagine
Easy.
easy.
Yeah. Mouse,
Malzahar,
easy. Very easy.
Valkoz. I mean,
Easy.
these are not the best champions,
Lux,
right?
easy. Yeah, those are all easy.
And
Talon,
Talon, I think we already talked about, do we?
yeah, Talon, we already kind of talked about. It's an assassin that you get stat check. It's like Echo. I would say it's very similar to Echo and Fizz.
So skill,
Yeah.
sort of like a bottom of a
Yep.
skill.
So
Okay, that looks like
Talia.
it's it.
Yeah.
I think we already talked about Talia.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe it's Talia. You
I
said
think
easy.
Talia was
You
the
said
last one.
easy.
We didn't like. Yeah. I would say yeah, easy. It's basically like RA and Vex, but even lower damage in lane, like even worse.
Easy.
Awesome.
Okay. Are you happy with this? Anything you'll
Yes.
change?
Looks good.
Okay. So as you said, the common trends here, the war of attrition, sort of harder to
Yes.
hit with your Q3s. Yeah. So, so before we said this, you said that skill was a lot, but I mean, there's actually a lot of easy matchups.
Yeah.
Skill's sort of like mediocre. It looks like there's a lot more
It's because
harder than
it's
skill.
because I think because the ones that are hard and very hard are also technically skill matchups.
I see.
I put them at hard because you need more mastery on Yone to win these than the ones lower. But I think every matchup in the game on Yone, even the worst matchup, if you can outplay your way out and win lane, like that's one of the beautiful things about Yone. Like you have an infinite skill ceiling. I literally, unironically, you could probably put every champion in skill and it would be fine. But it just like
Okay.
obviously, and some are a lot harder to learn than others, right? And that's the point of this list.
So when you see a matchup tier list, you're just chucking all these champs in there, and then you just have skill or easy, basically.
Yes,
In your mind.
yeah.
Actually, some of these you would have in hard.
Yeah, like
right?
Jace, I would for sure put in very hard. Like I have like almost no Jace mastery. Every time I play against Yone, I play Jace, and I think I win almost every single game because it's just that hard to play Yone into Jace.
Wow. Okay, AJ. Let's use everything you've talked about so far, and let's compare your gameplay and the principles to the an Emerald Yone player.
Sounds good.
Okay, so here's our Emerald player. Emerald 2, Emerald 1 has been Diamond before, but really looks like, sitting around Emerald, this is definitely a player sort of, stuck around Emerald. We're stuck around Emerald. Yone, made basically one trick, main, similar to yourself here. AJ looking to master this champion. Okay, OPGG review. What are some things you're noticing here? We've seen some Dorans play this game.
Honestly, the first thing I noticed before we would look at the games is the volume of games, right? Like I don't think he only has 48 games of Yone this split, right? I think
this is the season, right? I think
this
it's
season,
the
entire season, exactly.
2025.
So the reality is, and something that's really important for people to understand, you will not get better at Yone if you're playing that many games a year with Yone. It takes hundreds of games, a split, not even a season, to get good with this champ. So that's the first thing I would know, guys. If you want to go through, if you want to get good at Yone, you need to devote hundreds of games. Like my Smurf alone, not even my main, has almost triple that amount of Yone games on it, right?
So for this player to get to the next level, we need to see way more. Otherwise, we're just going to be stuck. We're just going to be stuck in Emerald forever. Yes.
Because we didn't cover the micro, but the reality is you do need to have good micro. Like you just need it, right? No matter what, you're not going to get it with that few games. It's not possible.
Okay, builds.
Yes.
Looks like it's quite standard. Yep. Looking like the classic, the getting Vamp Scepter typically, first in terms of the War of Attrition. Let's maybe look at another one. Yeah, so we sort of Doran's Blade one here. What's the Doran's Blade going on here?
Yeah, so I mean, you see 105, and he also does have second win. So remember how we were talking about the war? Remember how we were talking about the War of Attrition? Like he's shooting himself with the foot. No D shield sustain, no second win sustain. You're gonna be in a world of hurt in that game.
So you take it in every matchup, right?
Even
this
Fizz.
Guy does go second wins.
Literally, even against Fizz, I take second wins.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So maybe missing that whole mindset.
That's really big. You do not want to build plating on Yone. It's one of the worst runes on Yone because he's a pure melee champ. So what happens is they just proc your bone plating before they go in.
This was
Like
against Yasuo. So this is
horrible
a
as
game
well.
you would go grasp, right?
I went
Against
grasp that
Yasuo.
Yasuo game because I thought it was against Kakali mid. I would have went lethal
Ah,
tempo.
that's right.
Yeah.
You would have lethal tempo. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is fine, except you need second wind here.
Yes, that's right.
All right, Doran's Blade. We're going a lot of Doran's
No,
Blades, I'm seeing.
just stop with the Doran's Blade. Like, unless you're against literally A Soul or Vigar or something, just go D Shield. That's so much stronger on your Yone.
Do you prefer the triple longsword over like tier 1 boots?
Triple dagger, you mean? Yeah.
Sorry, triple dagger,
Yes, you want to get as much attack speed is early game. So again, the order of stats is attack speed is number one, then AD. Attack speed up to a certain point too. Q is capped. Then it's AD is your second most important stat. So yeah, like you want to stack as much attack speed as you can to get your Q capped.
So you never want to see tier 1 boots in inventory. You just want to see the flat out
Yes.
upgrade.
Yes.
I don't think I saw any tier 1 boots in your inventory ever.
Very rarely do I get tier 1 boots.
Okay, it's hard to find third, fourth items.
Yes,
Again,
whoa. He had a phase rush game.
Uh-oh.
Oh, those are alarm bells. You definitely don't want phase rush on Yone. Again, no second wind. Again, so like there's not that much. You can't cook with this ship, right? You need your second wind and D shield.
I'm seeing here the only game that I can find a fourth, fifth item is Randuin's. You didn't mention this item at all. We're getting defenses, our fourth item. We're against
that one's a lot more
heavy
intuitive.
AD.
Yeah, because they're all crit champions.
Okay.
So that one actually
And
makes a lot of
champions.
sense. Yeah,
That makes sense.
That's like a niche thing you can do.
Okay. Anything else? Any other device based on this? The OPGG? Anything else standing?
Nope. Just again, please just go D shield second win for almost all your game, basically every game. Your life will be a lot easier.
Yeah, this guy's a Doran's Blade enthusiast.
Yeah. Oh no.
All right, AJ, let's get in the gameplay now. Okay, so AJ, let's start up with our setup. We sort of chose this one because we did want to see a second win game, even though they were going, bone plating a lot. So it's going to be a bit more standard in terms of your champ identity. Anything you'll change here? We're going to absorb life.
I would go Triumph against their champs because Talia is very weak laner, so you don't need Triumph for laning against Talia. You don't need absorb life. Yeah, you want Triumph because again, going to be skirmish heavy game once you're at BotRK, right? Like Wukong, Volley, Elise, these champs love skirmishes.
Okay, anything else you'll change? You're happy with the overgrowth?
Everything else is good. Yep.
All right, great. All right. Oh, we got Doran Shield here as well.
Yes, good. That's why we picked this VOD, because I don't want to look at a game where they go D-Blade bow plating, because the lane is already now really bad, like just by default, without you even doing anything by having those.
Okay, so you said that you just really think about going deep in your matchup.
Yeah.
What do we think about here with Talia? You said this is one of the easy ones, right?
Yeah. First things first, notice how there's no intention with the level 1, right? Where am I going to place the level 1 ward? Where am I going to position level 1? That's already a big thing, right? Notice how the two VODs we looked at for my gameplay, I already knew exactly what I wanted to do with my ward, right? To track the Wukong. So already right off the bat, we're not going to have any information on where the Wukong is, which is very scary.
So what would you do specifically? You would sprint from here, or
I'd
sit in this
spam
bush
ping
and go
my entire
ward?
team to come with me, because if you look at your bot side, Sivir, Yumi, they have 3 combat sums, so we can win 4v4, so I can get that level 1 ward down.
Okay, so you like to spam ping your team saying, hey guys, let's go ward. Okay.
Yes.
Because because people might be saying, well, AJ, I'm doing that, but I'm getting killed and chunked, and it's a disaster. I have to burn my TP.
That's why I get everyone there, so that way that can't happen. Yeah, and first thing we notice already, notice how he hasn't been hitting the wave right when the wave came in. He's letting Talia push, and he wasn't really stacking the wave that well.
Got it. So you gotta thin the wave. I mean, Talia hasn't sort of been bullying, so I guess he's got away with it here, right? But you need to be on the wave and start smacking the waves, so you don't get these big waves just crash into you.
Yeah, because if you look at it, it's already crashing still now, right? Like he thinned it a little bit, but not enough. So it's like you actually don't want the wave here. Like you actually really don't like the wave here, because you can't stop her from crashing it, right? She could easily crash this if she wants to. So you don't really want the wave in this location. Yep, so you can already see, right? The wave is kind of crashing in. And yeah, you're gonna start to lose a little bit of farm under the turret. Notice how here, look at how much CS he's already lost under the turret. He's already at the very easy matchup, and he's down 4 farm, right? Till he hasn't put any pressure on him, and he's down 4 CS. Yep, again, so very, very subpar wave management again. like don't want the wave here early game because you can't do much with it. And so after you base on after your first base, you can leave the wave in this location. But the wave here is just awkward because Talia can push it in and hit you on your turret. Another thing we're noticing, he's basically not going for any short trades, right? He's not trying to play the war of attrition and target her HP with EQW. He's kind of just like, yeah, he's getting this farm, which is good. That is definitely a good thing. But he hasn't really been trading in order to actually push the Talia back, right? Play the war of attrition, right? Talia's full HP still. Also, he also popped his pot already as well, right? Notice that no confidence in his sustain. He's already popped his pot. He was totally healthy already.
Yeah, and because you're saying you want to save your health potions, you actually like to be on low HP because the
Yes.
Doran shield and the second wind's going to heal you more.
Yes. And we could already see a really big thing that a lot of Yone players make this mistake of is over roaming early game. Look at his items. All he has is D shield. He's roaming his open mid wave.
Yeah. This is, again, it seems like the Yone players like they have
Yes,
to win the game in
exactly.
the early game. This is just a
Yes.
disaster.
And now look at what happened to
Oh,
your wave.
no.
Yes.
We're going to lose so many minions now. This is going to be hard to last hit now.
Yep, it's going to be very hard to last it. You already lost one. Yeah, but not only that, right? The Talia also gets a free base now. You just lost your ability to play War of Attrition, right? Think about how much mana. Like if you go back, actually, how much mana did she have? Imagine if we kept her trapped in lane. Look at her mana. But now she's gonna get a free base and get her tier now. She had 0 mana left. And so even though the roam didn't
so
look
do you want to
bad,
explain more, AJ? Like,
Yes.
why is it so bad for Talia to be
Yes.
able to get that free base off?
yes, because again, you want elongated lanes to play War of Attrition because when she runs out of mana, every single creep you get is uncontested now, right? Because she can't harass you anymore. So you get every single minion for free for however long she's on the map with no mana. So even though that roam, he didn't die, and yes, he only lost 1 minion. So like on paper, it didn't look that bad. It actually is really bad because he just lost his ability to not interact with the Talia until he gets the Bork. Now he all of a sudden has to play against a Dark Seal tier Talia, which is 100 times more scary than a no mana Talia, right? And so if he had stayed in lane, he would have kept Talia in lane, elongated the lane, and he would have had a much easier time, much better time power farming.
That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, you want people to be stuck in lane
Yes.
with 0 base, 0 items, and
Yes.
just keep healing up. You love long lane phases.
Yes.
That's going to help you get to the Beta Rune King longer.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and we're gonna see the same thing again. Notice how he's like, you can tell he's very nervous that there's a play happening on top side. Again, just go to your wave. Let this Talia go roam.
This is looking very awkward right
Yes,
now.
and now look at how awkward it's become because he's not playing for his wave. And this is what happens when you let the Talia go for a base, right, and get her tier. Because yeah, you got your berserkers, but look how many minions are bleeding. Look at the CS. The Talia's put no pressure on him, and he's at 35. At 5 minutes, he should be at like almost 50 right now, right? Yeah, he's probably without him watching, he's probably going to try to go for some kind of flippy R as well. Yeah, looks like he's holding.
Yeah, I'm going to be very curious to see the
Yes,
R. So this is where your mindset will be, I'm R'ing to wave clear. I'm just happy to wave clear.
Yeah,
Can you tell me when you would actually
I would do it when I can't get a wave in, if they're basing and I can't get the wave in without my ult. So like in this scenario, I'm fine, right? She can't stop me from getting the wave in, right? She's not like TPing back or anything. So I don't need to use R for wave clear. But let's say she bases and she R'd back to lane right now, right? And I had to get this wave in, like I would R now if I knew that she could stop me. Yeah, so honestly, this sequence is not too bad. He did play the war of attrition quite well in that scenario. What I would probably do is just match the base. Now, this is the problem, right? Because he's staying on the map without basing, and now again, Talia's on a fresh base. So you want to be as like I would have bought my dagger and my refill here, or my longsword and refill, have even more sustain. But now look, he's sitting at with no sustain anymore.
So the refill potion, you're basically building that every game, just help with
Almost
War of
every game.
Attrition.
Yes.
Almost every game, yeah. So you're really looking to base for that. It's like an item spike for you in a
Yeah,
way.
it is because you get to elongate your lane phase again. I mean, you can see the lack of sustain is going to come and hurt him now. He's probably going to take a poor quality base at some point here soon, which is probably here, right? Yeah. So now he's going to have to give up another wave to base.
Yeah, so I guess a big part in Yone reviews is like if this has ever happened to you, you need to review like what's going on.
Yes,
Here.
if this is
like
happening
a massive
to yes,
review point.
especially against a matchup that doesn't put pressure on you. Like if you're against a hard lane and you can't War of Attrition, like again, if you're against a Jace, it's a lot less. It's okay. Against a Talia though, unacceptable. Like if that were me reviewing my gameplay, I would end the review there.
Yeah. Oh, so the game's looking, remember, this is a game that this guy actually loses, by the way. So, it's 1-4, like,
Jace is doing extremely well.
Definitely could, I've obviously farmed a lot better, put more pressure, but I'm going to be very curious to see the mid game here as well.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like no one's going to be threatening this person in the sideline still. Like, we should be still fun this game, right?
Threat. Yes. There's no.
Look at this volley base, 0-4.
This is a game where we could put pressure in the side really easily. Actually, look what happened, by the way. Look at how bad of a butterfly effect this happened. Because he took that bad base, because he missed the previous base, what happened to his Jace? What did Talia
dies
get?
Because of that. That's Jace dying is his fault.
And I love this, because this is all invisible stuff, Nathan. This is what I've been trying to say.
Yes.
Look at how hard this is to notice. None of this is Yone, like flashy Yone stuff. But this is the difficulty. This is why it's a 10 out of 10. All of this entire game has been his fault already.
And Vamp Scepter is definitely something you would get again in this matchup.
That's right, for sure.
Building up for your Blade of the Ruined King.
Yep.
Okay. So we're not seeing any crazy roams, hopefully, anymore here. Hopefully, we're just seeing Operation Blade of the Ruined King. Let's see what happens here.
Well, no, I'm noticing with the trades, he's not really trading with his E. Like there, he just went for the Q3 without the E, so he took a nasty trade. And this is what I mean, guys. You're not trying to kill people. Look at his mindset. He's trying to kill her. What was the point of that ult? Like you landed everything. It was like he's still at 30%.
So you want to see more trading with E and just go for those short trades, as you said, and not trying to kill. Just only kill if there's opportunistic, but you're not literally trying to kill.
Yeah, look at that too. He even tried to Q3 flash, try to kill her again, right? He's not content farming evenly with her. He's like, again, trying to do flashy shit, and it just ends up backfiring, and it just looks bad, right? No R, no flash now.
Yeah, absolutely solo losing the game for his team.
Get to that wave. Again, we should try to aim for a 14-minute Borg. I don't even think he'll be close. If you could press X and show me his gold. Yeah, so you need 1600 with the amount he has right now. He's still quite a bit away right now.
Yeah. And again, it's just sort of a bit of a more of a farming problem here. And again, you hit that. I mean, I think you got 120 farm, right? When you got the 12 minutes.
Look at this as well. Look at this. Look at this. This is exactly what I mean. This is how you lose games. Look at how stressed he feels. You could just feel it in the VOD.
Yeah.
He's like TP.
Super anxious.
Very anxious. Just get that mid plate, right? Just go get those mid plates and get those mid waves. He tried to go for a flippy R as well, something we talked about. Or without any setup.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. This is all making perfect sense here. We're not scratching our head here while we're stuck in Emerald. It's like, all right, this is exactly what you'll probably expect to see from an Emerald Yone.
Exactly.
Not thinking about, Borg, not playing the War Attrition properly. These horrible roam plays, TP. The zero confidence in the ability to play the mid game. Wait for the big Borg and play the mid game.
I mean, and look what happens. He doesn't have R, so he can't escape now, right? Like, so it's like, so we can talk about him not thinking about the Tristan Elise. That's fine, right? That is an aspect. That's not really Yone specific. But what is Yone specific is him wasting his R on that topside play. Now he's R to get out, and he just dies.
Yeah, this is like sort of a real high level review in terms of You know, there's nothing mechanically. We've talked about this at all,
Yes.
by the way, AJ. You know, it's not really the mechanics that's this guy's. You know, obviously it could be improved on, but the
Yes.
big 20%ers is like the whole
Yes.
mindset approach.
Yeah. Because again, if you want to improve your mechanics, I mean, there's plenty of resources you can use to improve your mechanics. That's not what I'm. That's not what I'm trying to teach in this video and this guide here, this little mini guide. Um, that's about the high level, big picture stuff. Okay, so he's got Bork, right? So this is what we're talking about now.
Here we go.
Force people to react in the side, right? Let's get people to react to us on the side, and then we move or we pressure, right? If the enemy team is not defending us, we just keep pushing. So first thing we notice, he's not even on the wave. He's not excited about getting the wave ASAP. Very slow.
Yeah, hesitating.
Very stressed.
Stressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to see people on waves
Yes.
as they meet. Let's go. Let's start smacking. Every second
Yes.
counts of pressure.
That's right. Like so, even here,
That was
no
a
one's
little bit
defending.
better.
Yep. So even here, just keep hitting bot, right, or farm Krogs. This is good. Yeah, this is good. I'm very glad he's doing this. This is really helping his game.
So you don't want to be hitting tier 2 now, right? Because everyone's missing and your team's not on the map pressuring, right?
Yes,
So this is an
your team is
example
not
would be a
pressuring
bad death.
Yes, this
Okay.
would be a bad time to die. So he needs to get the hell out right now. Okay, he sees everyone. So again, he could be on that bot wave right now, right? Like Wukong can't beat him 1v1. He should have just been on that bot wave.
He's like, I've got to defend mid.
Yeah.
I got to defend mid. But look, got to protect mid. This is just a mess.
This is just a
Absolute
mess.
catastrophe. The game's exploding. It's
game
just
is
exploding.
Yeah, like again, we could talk about the micro there. He probably could have won that, but still, like that's not the premise. It's like he's not putting any pressure anywhere. Like he's like that. Like he had one small sequence where he put some pressure, but then he got nervous again. And he like walked over to like Grom to like try to defend his team mid, rather than recognizing that everyone was mid besides Wukong, so you could pressure bot. And look at this again. Look how slow he is to top. He's like dancing around, like trying to group mid. He could have already been on that top wave, pushing top.
It's painful. It's painful, AJ.
Yeah.
It's really painful.
Even here, right? No one's top. Keep going. And inefficient. Look at those minions dying right now. That he just lost a melee minion for nothing. Not put zero pressure right now. Literally zero. Their team is hitting your tier 3, and you're not putting any pressure. You're not forcing anyone to react to you.
No one has to react to this at all. No
Look,
one's been here the whole time. Look,
another
they're just ending
wave.
the game.
Another wave
They're just
that he
ending
missed,
the game.
right? Another wave of pressure. So this is what I mean. Like, there's no. It's invincible stuff. Because if you had been doing all of that, this game would look literally like monstrously different. Like words can't even describe how different this game would look right now. You got raw R without Q3 stacked, right? So you definitely don't want to be doing that. Again, over grouping, get to the side.
Could we have stacked our Q3? Let's look at this, see if we could stack it off something. So you literally, your principle is you just don't like this.
I would just
like,
E over the wall.
Stack.
E over the wall and
just
hit the
E
tryst.
over the wall.
And then you just start queuing her and she jumps away, then you are with your Q3.
Then you are, I see with your Q3, I see. So we're just doing it backwards, just the abilities, Viewing R is like a damage ability there rather than mobility. Yeah. And stacking up the Q3 first.
If you actually look at this game, he actually literally solo lost his team the game. They have 3 Drakes. Like they're about to get 3 Drakes. And his Jace was 4-0 1v1. And this game turns into a loss.
You can always see the constant little hesitation and movement.
Yes.
Just like, but you are never going to see that from your gameplay, AJ. Like, you're going to have way more confidence. That's the speed on these waves, faster.
Yep. So now, great. Force volley to react to you. Now you go move to mid, right? This is a scenario where I'd go mid. So he's got it completely backwards, right? Because you can't be volley bear right now, right? You're not strong enough to be volley bear. So you need to, once volley bear stuck in the side, now you go group mid and look for something mid. Yeah. So he's like pushing, but he's not putting any pressure on the map, forcing himself to TP mid when he could have just walked there with his priority on bot.
So a lot of people here would say, "Wow, I got a double kill. That's a great TP."
Yeah.
What do you think about that TP? You just do not like this
No,
TP.
because he could just walk. He could just flank, and it would still be a double kill, right?
Okay,
If he had been ready to push bot and immediately move once Volibear's reacting to him on bot,
wouldn't be in that situation.
you would just be flanking them and killing them from the flank. Also, it looks like he went IE second.
Not a fan of that.
Not a fan. Nope. Again, look at the hesitation. He's just like look. He's literally just walking around the river. He's not even pressuring anything.
Illegal activity.
Yeah, look at this illegal. Look at Volibear's items. He cannot touch you. Why are you why are you letting him pressure top right now? Right? Instead we're just like kind of A-ramming, our team's off the map, and now you're on the map and mid. The Volibear, who's weak as hell, is just hitting top, right?
Well, to be honest, Volibear is 2 levels ahead of this guy right now.
Yeah, but he has
Maybe he's
IE.
not that weak.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
so
not that
IE,
weak,
you
but
can
with
still
IE,
kill.
you could definitely win. You could definitely win now.
Okay, fancy flash there.
Yeah, not okay mechanics, not too bad.
Another double kill. But these kills don't really mean that much
No,
because
and this is what I mean. Yeah.
they're not pushed up. We're
No
not getting
pressure
anything
anywhere.
off these.
And
There's
this is
zero
why
pressure.
every Yone struggles with ending the game. Because like they do all this fancy shit and they're like getting kills. It's like, oh woohoo, kills. And then but look at where your waves are forever. Never in position to get anything. And both of my game I had at both of the games that we looked at mine, I had all 3 turrets dead already. Tier 2 turrets. Same thing again.
Ideally, you're not in
overgrouping.
the situation where we have to fight
Yeah.
out 5v5 team fight. Here, it's going to be either flank or pressuring. You're just
Yes.
going to be a victim, at this sort of stage of the game. And
That's
just
right.
hopefully maybe you mechanically outplay everyone, just useless.
Yep. Like even here, just give Drake, go pressure top, right? We can't put Arako's dead. We can't. We have no way to face check, right? We have no Q3. We have no way to stack our Q3 or anything. So look at this. Again, you could have been pressuring top while they're on Drake, just overgrouping.
All right, I think we've seen enough, AJ.
Yeah,
I think we
I
definitely understand this guy's problems here.
Yes, for sure.
All right, so yeah, it's all making sense again, AJ. Lots of, obviously this Mogu person absolutely watched the first, 3/4 of this video. A lot of it would make sense. You've
Yes.
obviously gone over a lot of it. A couple of questions to sort of finish off here, AJ. Let's say people are inspired. They love your passion with Yone. They say, okay, this is all making a lot of sense. I can, I want to go and practice execute this game. So what are the first big 20%ers? Someone's picking up Yone. What should they focus on first? Because again, we didn't really cover much mechanical stuff here. Or should it just be the mindset, of what we've talked about in this video?
Yes, always start with the mindset. So the 20%ers come from the mindset, and then just something about Yone is that you always, no matter how good you get at Yone, you have to practice your mechanics, right? Like I have like literally thousands of Yone games, and I still look at my mechanics once in a while. That is something you have to do. So I'm not sitting here trying to tell you guys not to do that. And so if you're first learning Yone, that's why I'm saying you need to get as many reps in as you can, right? So that way you need some sort of foundation baseline level of mechanics, right? And what I would say is always review 2 to 3 plays from a mechanical lens always when you're first starting off with Yone. But in reality, what you should actually do in the game is think about the big mindset things. That's how I would approach it. It's like, okay, in the review, I'm going to look at my mechanics, and maybe I'll look at a few sequences, right, of the game. But in the game, what I'm going to do is, again, high level, get to BotRK, right? Don't move the plays. No random TPs, pressuring the side, right? Like that. Those are the 20%ers. That is where the LP comes from. And if you're struggling with the mechanics, of course, it comes from reps. Watch YouTube videos on the mechanics. Watch my Twitch streams. I mean, I play Yone a lot. You can study the mechanics there. So there's a lot of resources already out there to study the mechanics as well.
Okay, and last question here, AJ. For the people that are sort of on the edge, like, okay, I like the idea of this champion, sort of looks awesome, but, I know it's a little bit hard. Talk to me about, act as a bit of a Yone salesman here. Why do you love Yone? Why should people pick up Yone, even though you've said it's like a 10 out of 10 difficulty, like the brutal learning journey?
So it's like yin and yang. Because he's 10 out of 10 difficulty, guess what? He's one of the most fulfilling and most fun champions in the game. And I was talking about in the matchup tier list, there is not one matchup that Yone plays where you can't win it, right? Like there's some games, like if you pick Asol, there are some matchups where it doesn't even matter if you're like, Chovia on Asol, like you will just lose that lane, right? You just have to accept that you're going to lose that lane against another good player. Yone, there is no ceiling like that. Like you will find ways to do small things in lanes to win lanes. So that like level of mastery is so fulfilling because like for at least for me, I'm gonna say from a personal anecdotal experience, I was stuck in low master diamond for years on Yone. But through thousands of games of reviewing, I'm at the point where I can actually hold my own against pros, right? And so that feeling is nothing in the world can match that feeling that I've had, right? That growth, how much work I put in, and how like the return on investment is huge, right? You will see the return on investment. I think that's like the biggest selling point for Yone. It's like, oh man, it feels so good to be able to pull off the R into Q3 when I've been doing R first. Or oh man, it was so awesome to get Bork at 14 minutes and then win the game. Right? It's just so rewarding. Like nothing in the world, at least especially in League, has felt better than that. Like I played every champ now in mid at this point. Nothing will be as good as like the pursuit of mastery on Yone. So I would say that is like the thing. It's like playing a really really satisfying and challenging single player game. You know what I mean? Like you pick the hardest difficulty on a single player game. Yeah, you're in for a little bit of a tough ride, but man, it's gonna feel so good once you beat that really difficult boss on the hardest mode that no one else can beat. So
Yeah,
that's how
massive
I feel.
rewards. Yes, so
Yeah.
you could put in the energy. If you put in the effort, you will get rewarded with this
Yes,
champion.
that's right.
Okay, AJ. Final sort of shout outs. You coach a few times in the
Mhm.
Milan Academy every week. Any MLA members, you do stream on Twitch. We'll have your links in the description below. Any final shout outs here?
Um, there is actually one. There's a Yone person who's been grinding his ass off in the MLA. He actually got from silver to emerald with Yone, which is very impressive. That's Mars in the MLA. I want to actually shout him out. I see your work. I love the curiosity, and that's what you guys need. You need the reps and the curiosity. So I love the curiosity he had, and honestly, he's one of the few people that's made Yone work in the MLA. Like a lot of people struggle with making him work. He's one of the few people. So
Yeah.
massive shout
Wow.
out to him. What a
Huge.
really insane achievement from him. Um, and yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, of course, shout out to Curtis. Curtis is the goat, so always got to shout him out as well.
Yep.
And yeah, besides that, I guess check out my Twitch. I stream Yone quite a bit there, and I mean, I have two high-elo accounts. 60% went around both of them with Yone. So if you guys are ever struggling with Yone, I'll be happy. I answer all questions in my Twitch chat. So um, yeah, I would love to see you guys there.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure. AJ, very practical Yone advice
Hmm.
for the video. I really think that this is really going to change the perception,
Yeah,
hopefully, of the
that's
Yone
for sure.
community. The Yone, the Reddit mains, what is
Yes.
it, the Yone mains. So hopefully we really get to see some more Yone players and picking up this champion.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
All right, good work, guys. We'll see you on our next episode.